Right, let me get a couple things done here before we get started. Because I already know this is about to be an interesting conversation for everybody. Me, not really, but I already know people have their frustrations, and I feel the need to at least have a platform for you guys to air out some of those frustrations. Because that's why I'm here. Kind of. Not really necessarily, but you know. I'm at least here to somewhat help out when it comes to situations like this. Uh, uh, damn it. Let me see. There we go. All right. Should be good to go. What is going on, everybody? I already know this is about to be quite the interesting conversation. Um, to be honest, this ain't even really about me per se, because I'm not surprised that the Ravens chose to do this. I'm just here to have this conversation with Ravens Flock and kind of get y'all mindset as to how y'all feel about this, because I was on Twitter. Obviously, I was on Twitter a couple hours ago, right after the trade deadline hit. And let's just say the attitude of Ravens Flock, of them not picking up receiver, was a overwhelming amount of disappointment. Now, there was plenty of fans that were just like, we don't need a receiver. What we have now is fine. I'm okay with it. And then there was fans like me and probably a couple of you, or probably many of you, that was like, I didn't expect them to pick up a receiver in the first place. I'm not surprised in the slightest. But there was a lot of people just voicing their frustrations out on Twitter about this situation. So I just wanted to have this little live stream here so we can just discuss it and get the whole gauge of how Ravens Flock feels about, the Ravens choosing to go out. You give up a second and a fifth round pick to go get Roquan Smith to help add to your linebacking core. And you know he's going to be a great piece. He's going to bolster your defense. So you watch the Ravens go out there and they're willing to utilize draft picks to pick up a great defensive player, but they don't have that same level of energy for an offensive player. And that's been frustrating for people. They didn't go out there and pick up anybody. You saw Chase Claypool get traded to Chicago, which was crazy right there. We saw TJ Hawkinson get traded to the Vikings. Then they go to the Vikings. That was a need because they already had a tight end that's going to be gone for like the damn near the rest of the season, so they needed that. But seeing Chicago go out there and get a Chase Claypool, and the fact that Brandon Cooks was not traded from the Texans, despite the fact that he wanted to be traded, he was expected to be traded, and he seems very disappointed by that. There was several names Ravens Flock wanted the Ravens to go out and get, Brandon Cooks being one, and Jerry Jeudy, a DJ Moore, and Elijah Moore, Denzel Mims. A lot of people thought the Ravens could go out there and try to do that. And since they saw them make one move, they thought they'd make another move. But I was not surprised to see the Ravens not make another move. I talked about it. Maybe they go out and get a receiver, but I was not expecting them to. I would have been shocked if they actually went out and gave up draft picks to go get a receiver. I personally would have been shocked, but I didn't expect them to. So for me personally, I'm not disappointed because I never had that expectations of the Ravens going out there to doing it. Now, yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that we don't have that proven top tier receiver for Lamar to be able to throw the ball to and just have that be his guy, because if you match that with Andrews, boy, do you know how much this offense improves. It's not even just about that guy getting the targets and making plays. It just opens it up for everybody. But I'm not surprised to see the Ravens not going out and getting a receiver. But a lot of you guys seem to be like voicing your complaints, and y'all were really, really disappointed that the Ravens didn't do that. But it is what it is. So I just wanted to get some of y'all thoughts. We'll continue to talk about this here. But yeah, Ravens Flock, majority of you guys do not seem to be happy with the Ravens not going out and trading for a receiver. Hell, people were so mad about that they were trying to overlook the Roquan Smith trade. They were like, yeah, that's cool. You got this linebacker, this great linebacker, this elite linebacker that's going to help out the defense, but it's not a receiver. You didn't go out and get a receiver. Are you going to do that? Right now, Ravens Flock just seems to be focused on receivers, and because of that, it's kind of it's just straight up like shouldering down any other trade or any other move the Ravens make. If it's not a receiver, Ravens flock does not care right now. So that's kind of just the mindset I've been seeing right now, and it's been crazy. Yeah, Charles, I agree with you. This ain't nothing new. Not disappointed, but I'm numb to this. I'm used to it as well, and I would say, I guess you could say I'm numb to this, but I don't expect the Ravens to do that. The Ravens don't really value receivers like that, so I'm not surprised to see them not go out and get a receiver. This doesn't shock me in the least. I knew they weren't going to go out and get a receiver. I wasn't expecting them to go out and get a receiver, so I'm not surprised that the trade deadline ended and there's no receiver being traded to Baltimore. And then, of course, people are saying, well, let's go get Odell. I don't think they're going to go get Odell either. I'm not surprised. They don't value the receiving position the way Ravens fans want them to. And that's just not how their system is. That's not how they're built. So it's just not going to happen. It is what it is. I'm sorry to tell you this, but this is the franchise. This is how the organization's been. They've never really valued the receiving position. So I don't expect that to change anytime soon. Ravens don't need one unless it's a top 10. They were never going to get a top 10 receiver, Jay. So we already knew they weren't going to do that. What's going on, Broke Dirk? Appreciate you stopping by here. Them not trading for a receiver is nothing new. Exactly. I mean, we're used to it. Now, yeah, it's nothing new, but it's still frustrating to people that want to see the Ravens go out and go out and trade for a receiver, because they've been drafting receivers, but these receivers haven't really been hitting the way they haven't been really successful. I mean, Hollywood Brown was your biggest success. Hollywood Brown was your biggest success, and it looks like Duvernay could follow suit. Rashad Bateman could be in that conversation, but he's getting injured right now. He was injured last year. Last year, his rookie season. He's injured again this year. That's scary. So you may have only hit on 2 of your receivers over the last 5 years, and that's a problem. And speaking of which, the one you hit on ain't even here anymore because you traded him for a first-round pick. So they're drafting these receivers, but they're not hitting on them because Baltimore can't really draft receivers, and they have no idea how to develop these receivers, which is why people want to see them go out and get them via trade or signing, but none of that's happening. So, yeah, it is what it is. We got Isabella and Jackson. Yeah, that's not going to really thread the needle. That's not going to thread the needle, and I don't expect it to thread the needle. I don't think anyone's expecting it to thread the needle. If anything, Deshaun Jackson could potentially just be, if he still's got the speed. I don't want to sit back and say that he can't be productive. If he still got the speed, he could certainly be productive. But for the most part, I'm assuming he's probably going to be bait a lot of times, because we don't even throw the ball down the field that much. Lamar's looking to throw the ball down the field, but this offense ain't really built to throw the ball down the field. So I don't see a lot of deep bombs to Deshaun Jackson. If he gets open in the secondary, I'm sure Lamar's going to give him a chance, but I really see Deshaun Jackson being somebody that's going to be bait. If he could still put pressure on the defense, he's going to be that deep threat that's going to be bait, and it's going to help open up the underneath, which will help take the pressure a little bit off of Mark Andrews and, Isaiah Likely as well, so you could probably get them. I don't think we're going to see a lot of deep bombs of Deshaun Jackson. If anything, I see him mostly being bait, so maybe that's going to help out, but it's not going to really thread the needle for them. If this was 2012, if this was 2010, would you be complaining about Deshaun Jackson? No, because Deshaun Jackson in 2010, that was his third season in the league. He was drafted in 2008. That was his third season. No one would be complaining about 2010 Deshaun Jackson. So no, that's come on, you know the answer to that. I love the Roquan Smith trade because EDC once again fails to address the wide receiver position, knowing that Rashad is out for several weeks. Well, that's what you have Deshaun Jackson for. That's just the mindset of the Ravens. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. So I'm not surprised. But the Roquan Smith trade was still a great trade. I don't want us to just overlook what that does, because we've been complaining about pass coverage for quite some time, especially over in the middle of the field. Patrick Queen has improved in his pass coverage, but that's something we've talked about for a while now. He hasn't been great in pass coverage. Here you're bringing a guy that's going to improve the pass coverage. He's an elite linebacker, so that's definitely going to help your linebacking core, and you're going to pair him up with Patrick Queen. That's a benefit. So it is what it is. It is what it is at that point, but I'm not surprised to see them not get a receiver. I'm not surprised. I'm just surprised they actually traded for somebody. I said, in fact, I didn't even post it, but me personally, when I was off camera, I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens trade for a defensive player. However, I didn't think it'd be a linebacker. Considering the fact that we Marcus Williams is going to be out for some more weeks and you lost Kyle Fuller, I thought they would trade for somebody in the secondary. I knew it was going to be a defensive player. I thought it was going to be somebody in the secondary because, maybe they didn't want to put that pressure on Brandon Stevens and Pepe. They want to take the pressure off, so maybe they would have went out and traded for a corner. I thought something like that was going to happen. I wasn't expecting a linebacker. And I didn't think it was going to be a pass rusher as well because they're getting back both Bowser and Ojabo. So they seem to be content with what they have there. But I really thought it was going to be a guy in the secondary. I wasn't expecting a linebacker. It is what it is. That's a great pickup for the Ravens there. I mean, it sucks that we didn't trade for a receiver, but I'm still surprised we actually made a big trade. Yeah, but I thought they would at least make the attempt to get a defensive player. I am done with the Ravens, the biggest weapon on our team, and you disrespect him over and over. A tight end is not a receiver. What's going on, Living Legend? Or Living Legion, my bad. What's going on, bro? But yeah, I'm done with the Ravens, the biggest weapon on our team, and you disrespect him over and over. A tight end is not a receiver. They don't run routes and play the perimeter. Help Lamar out for once. Hey, man, I would love to see the Ravens go out and get a receiver, but it just seems like that's not their philosophy. What we have to come to understand, which I've understood a long time ago, but what I've noticed the last several years and what I've come to accept is that the Ravens do not value the receiving position. Because you would see, I would post, man, can we go out and get this guy? Man, I really hope we can go get this receiver. Let's go out and trade for this receiver. Let's go sign this guy. I've been saying that early on, like last couple years, I was saying that. But I've backed off over the last couple years because you just have to come to a realization that the Ravens don't value the receiving position. They don't. They don't really value the receiving position. That doesn't mean they're not willing to invest in it, but they're not going to invest in it via trade. They're not giving up anything for it. If they're going to invest in the receiver position, they're going to draft a bunch of receivers. Now, if you go look at their track record, and I really hope people do, because I really hate whenever we bring up how they're not really investing in the receiving position, a receiving position, people will be like, well, they're drafting them. So obviously they have some level of care for the receiving position. But yeah, if you go look at the guys they've drafted, the receivers they've drafted, if you go look at it, somebody please go look at it. Tell me, of all the receivers we've drafted since the start, since 96, since the beginning of this franchise, of all the receivers we have drafted, how many of them was in Baltimore for 5 or more years? How many of them got a second contract? The best receiver we drafted, Torrey Smith, did not get a second contract. He was out of here in 2015. That man was drafted in 2011, by the way. Gone, 2015. Best receiver, Torrey Smith. Arguably the second best receiver you ever drafted in Hollywood Brown. Traded after 3 years being here because he did not want to be in this system. I'm serious. Go look at the history of the guys the Ravens have drafted. The receivers the Ravens have drafted since 96. How many of them have gotten a second contract? How many of them have been in Baltimore for 5 or more years? The Ravens don't invest in receivers like that, man. They don't. They've never cared about the receiving core. They've never cared about the receiving core. And that's something we have to understand. It's frustrating, but they've never cared about the receiving core. They've never cared about the receiving core. So they're not going to get that guy that's going to be here for 5, 6, 7 years. They're not. And even if they draft him, they're not going to pay him that type of money. I'm going to tell you right now, if Bateman becomes what a lot of us believe he's going to, I don't see him sticking around because I don't think they're going to pay him. He'll be here for a couple years and then he'll go somewhere else and get the contract he's looking for. And Ravens fans that completely believe everything the Ravens are doing right, they'll sit back and say, I agree. Why pay $18 million for a receiver? Then at that point, it might be $20 million or probably even more than that. Why pay that type of money for a receiver, especially in an offense like this? If you have Greg Roman as your offensive coordinator, why would you invest in the receiving core? You don't even use your receiving core. You got guys on the roster that you don't even utilize. Why would they invest? They're not stupid. They don't care about the receiving core. So you have an offensive coordinator that doesn't utilize receivers. They're in a system, an offensive system that doesn't really utilize receivers. It utilizes the running backs. It pulls the offensive line. It utilizes your fullback and your tight ends, but it does not utilize the receivers. They have a scheme that they run that does not really utilize receivers like that. They have the concept here. They have an offensive coordinator that's been known to not really be good in passing concepts. They don't utilize receivers. They know what they're doing. They don't value that position the way we want them to. So why would they go out and pay for a top tier receiver if they know for sure they're not going to utilize him? That's just how it is. I'm sorry to say. They don't really care about the receiving core the way Ravens fans want them to care about it. If they did, the system they're running and the way they choose to go after these guys, they would. They're willing to use draft picks to get players, to get defensive players. But when it comes to receivers, they're going to use draft picks. In fact, they're going to use those receivers to try and get draft picks because they don't really care about draft receivers. They're expendable. They're really expendable. They don't care about receivers. As soon as you realize that, you just got to understand this is what the Ravens do. Hope for the best. Maybe you can win a title like this. They sure can. They sure believe they can. So, they believe that mindset is going to help them win a title. I don't know. It is what it is. Seems like this team is kind of complacent with standing pat while others make moves to get better. Well, yeah, they're complacent offensively. Quick question, where is Isabella? He's probably still on the practice squad. I have not seen this dude at all. Probably still on the practice squad. I doubt if he has any playing time anytime soon. But yeah, they seem complacent with what they have offensively. As long as the numbers look pretty and it says, hey, I believe they said with a second-ranked offense, with a second or fourth-ranked offense in the National Football League. As long as you're in the top five, no one's going to care. Hey, look, we're top five offensively. Who cares if we don't have the receivers we want? Who cares? We're top five offensively. Like I already said last year, if you kept Greg Roman here, your offense is going to put up great numbers. You'll probably be in the top 10. But once you get to the playoffs and defenses take away what you do best and you don't have a contingency plan, you're going to be screwed. We do not have a contingency plan on offense. Once they take away the run game and decide to take away the middle of the field, we have to rely on receivers that aren't really used to playing like this in this type of offense because we don't have schemes that work for them to really take advantage of the perimeter. We're always struggling when they take away what we do best. Demarcus Robinson should be Ravens wide receiver 1. He will never be that. They will never utilize him like that. So it is what it is. So it is what it is. Ain't nothing changing. Chiefs wide receivers are good. We would trade y'all one. Doubt the Ravens would even want to do that. So it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, you just got to understand they don't invest in the receiving core. They don't, not even invest, but they don't really care about the receiving core like that. They'll invest with their draft picks, but they don't care about the receiving core like that. That's just how it is. It is what it is. That's just how it is. Ravens fans have settled for the organization's ways. I feel like they are wasting Lamar's time in the playoffs. Let's see who shows up. I can't wait for that moment. For all the people that are going to sit there and talk about, oh, man, Greg Roman's offense. Look what Greg Roman's doing with his offense, despite the fact that we're dealing with injuries. We're second in this, and we're fourth in that, and all. I cannot wait. Because if we get to the playoffs and they fail to show up, I cannot wait. I want to hear those people. Because they better not sit back and say, we failed to execute. I don't want to hear that. I don't hear that. You were boasting about this being a top 5 offense in the season, right? Why didn't they show up in the playoffs? Because whenever this offense is doing well and they fail to show up in the postseason, because, again, defenses take away what we do best. Whenever they fail to show up in the playoffs, it's always, well, we didn't execute that time. Why? I mean, you kept boasting about them being a top 5 offense in the regular season. Why couldn't that top 5 offense show up in the playoffs? Maybe because when teams take away what you do best and you don't have a contingency plan or any other method to beat somebody besides running the ball and throwing the ball over the middle to Mark Andrews, maybe if you had something else beside that, you could probably win a playoff game, right? Just saying, I mean, you managed to beat the Titans. Look who was the leading receiver there. It was Hollywood Brown. You were making plays there. When you were actually throwing outside to the perimeter, you were actually making plays. But you were also relying on the talent of Lamar Jackson, which, again, is only going to take you so far. But, you know, I'm saying, if you don't want to invest in the receivers, it is what it is. It is what it is. I don't think we ever had a Pro Bowl receiver. I don't know if Torrey Smith was ever a Pro Bowl receiver when we were... Hollywood, I would have to go back and check that, but I'm not fully sure. I mean, Derek Mason, but I don't think he was like that with the Ravens, though. It is what it is. It is what it is. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if Bateman's requesting trades in the next year or two.
That is if Greg Roman's still here. He'll probably still be here. Look, we're fourth in offense after all. He's not going anywhere. A tight end is not a receiver. Yeah, tell Tom Brady that when he was with
Patriots. I mean, yeah, Gronkowski was still a monster, but that didn't stop him from throwing to other guys. What do you think they constantly talked about Wes Welker and Julian Edelman? You have to have somebody that you trust that's going to consistently make those plays. Yeah, Gronk was still a beast, but he had other guys to utilize there. And yeah, you're not in a Danny Amendola as well, but like you're not going to have. It's not just going to be like, oh, only throwing to the tight end is going to help you win every single time. He wasn't just throwing to Gronk constantly. He was still having receivers making plays consistently in the playoffs. Not to mention, they had multiple ways to beat you, okay? It wasn't just, even if you took away Gronk, Brady would still pick you apart with the receivers. I just have to sit back while my division foes, Jaguars, picked up the biggest shocker of the day. I mean, it is, but it's not going to help them out this year. Because he can't even play this year. He's still suspended, so I don't know how that's going to help them. It helps them in the future, but it doesn't help them this year. The day Lamar gets put in the West Coast offense like he was in Louisville is the day we see his full potential and the receivers get used correctly. Good luck with that. Probably won't be with the Ravens. Are we really surprised? Ray, we're not really surprised. No one's really surprised by what we're seeing. It is what it is at the end of the day. Bateman wasn't a needle mover to me, even when he was healthy. He doesn't have that heart like George Pickens. I mean, he made plays. I think Bateman had moments where he made plays. I don't know if you can sit back and say he'd be a true number one receiver, but he could have been the number one receiver for the Ravens. I don't think it would have been terrible to say he could have been the number one receiver for us. He could have. He could have. If you were the GM of the Ravens, what are 3 things you would do? Let's see. That's a very interesting question. One, I'm getting rid of Greg Roman and installing an offense that actually fits Lamar Jackson. So I'd put him more in a spread offense, similar to the West Coast offense, which allows him to utilize the entire field instead of just sitting back and trying to utilize the middle of the field. We're going to use the perimeter. So that's one. I'm going to get rid of Greg Roman and install that sort of find somebody that can install that system, because we're going to run more of a spread offense similar to the West Coast with Lamar and allow him to really utilize all of the field and utilize his receivers, which is going to make it easier for the receivers because now they're not going to be running into each other because we're not bunched up in formations. So that's one thing I would do. Another thing I would do is I'm going to go out and use these draft picks to go out and get Lamar a legitimate number one receiver. Because at some point, like, you got to have that difference maker. And that's one thing I wanted to allude to. I might make a video on that. You have to have that difference maker, especially in the playoffs. Okay, sometimes they're going to take away things that you do best, and it's just like you just have to have a playmaker that's just going to go out there and make plays even when things aren't working well. Did you see what happened with the Colts and the Commanders? Did you see that throw Heineke made to McLaurin? McLaurin was, I mean, technically that was an underthrown ball, but McLaurin made an incredible catch. That's a difference maker. Sometimes when things aren't working out the way you want it to, you just throw the ball up in the air, and if you have that guy that's going to make that play, it's going to be a difference maker. We saw that plenty of times when Devontae Adams was with Aaron Rodgers. Sometimes you just throw it up there and you can make that type of play. Even if things aren't working well, if you have that difference maker, you'll make those type of plays. We've seen that all last year with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I cannot tell you how many times Jamar Chase bailed out Joe Burrow by making an amazing play. These top-tier receivers are difference makers. Do you know how many times Cooper Kupp saved Matthew Stafford last year? When you have that guy, that difference maker, that's going to be able to find a way to make plays, even when things aren't working right, even when defenses take away what you do best, you still have that player that will find a way to make a play. That could be the difference between you going home early and you going on a Super Bowl run. Of course, it's not all about one player, but you have to be ready for moments like that. And there's nobody on our roster that you can sit back and say can really be that guy besides Mark Andrews. Unfortunately, Mark Andrews is a tight end, and they will definitely crowd the middle of the field. You got to get in the perimeter. But do we have a guy that you can consistently go to in those moments in the perimeter? Not really. So it is what it is. It is what it is. But yeah, what did I say? I would get rid of Greg Roman and install a more spread type of offense similar to the West Coast offense with Lamar. Get him a true number one receiver. And last but not least, I'm following in the way of the Rams. I'm going to
I couldn't do it right now, but if I wanted to move on from Harbaugh, I would assess how the season goes once I would leave. If I got rid of Greg Roman and installed a new system, I would see how that would go and how Harbaugh would continue to coach as the season goes on. And if I feel like Harbaugh, his time is up, I would move on from him. But I would still keep Harbaugh here for the rest of the season because his coaching philosophy is still here. And I'd probably I don't know, maybe look for another legitimate pass rusher. I don't care about the draft picks because the Ravens have drafted very well over the last couple of years defensively, so I think you're good in those spots. So I'm not afraid to utilize my draft picks. We've seen the last two teams won the Super Bowl championships by saying, F them picks, let me go out and get these type of players that are going to be difference makers, and it helped them win a ring. So I'm going to follow that philosophy. And I believe my quarterback can be that guy to get it done. You don't do that unless you believe you have the quarterback to get it done. That's what some people are not understanding. But it is what it is. That's what some people don't seem to be understanding. Even though we try to tell them that. Bateman is a bust. He's afraid of contact. He doesn't even play like a Raven. I wouldn't necessarily say that. I don't think he's afraid of contact. There's times where I've seen him, take on contact. It's not like that. It's just he's not staying healthy. He's getting hurt. That's really my only issue with him is the injuries, but it's not like he's out there doing what Hollywood did. Hollywood used to run out of bounds because he didn't want to take on the contact. I don't see Rashad Bateman doing that. Legitimately don't see Rashad Bateman doing that. So I couldn't say that. I legitimately couldn't say that. Do you think if we were 8-0, would we still be complaining about a wide receiver? I would. I certainly would. Have you guys not learned from 2019? Even when that season was going on, there were still glaring issues with the receiving core, and a lot of us brought that up, but we were winning, so no one seemed to care when we were pointing out, hey, the receivers aren't really exactly playing well, and everyone was like, who cares if the receivers aren't the best? We're winning football games. When you're winning, all the issues that people are trying to point out, nobody seems to care. When you lose, all of a sudden, all those issues you were pointing out, they're nice and bright, and they're glaring, and now people want to talk about it. So yeah, if we were 8-0, people would still be talking about the receiving core if it wasn't, up to where we needed to be. Now, of course, if you were to discuss it, people would just say you're nitpicking everything and it's not that serious. We're 8-0, so it shouldn't matter. But yeah, that'd be several people that'll talk about it, me included. So that's just how it is for me. Was Steve Smith Sr. a Pro Bowler with the Ravens? I don't even know if he was, because the only time he would have had that would have been he came to us in 2014. So that season where we actually made the playoffs and got to the divisional round, I don't remember his numbers there. So potentially he could have been, but I'm not sure. Lamar is going to leave. Who knows? First of all, he can't leave. He'd be franchise tagged for 2 years. So after that, he could leave, but I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think we need a receiver. I feel like we have enough weapons right now in Duvernay, Bateman, Andrews, D-Rob, and now Deshaun Jackson. See, here's the thing. I don't understand why everyone keeps doing the whole we have enough. We have enough. Where is this mentality of we have enough? When's the last time we won a championship? 2012. So where is this? First of all, where is this idea that you can ever have enough talent on a team? You're trying to compete for a championship. You can never have enough talent. Being complacent and saying we're having enough is a one-way ticket to getting a first-round exit. We have enough. We don't need to add and improve. We have enough with these young guys. We don't need to go out and add a top-tier guy that maybe takes us over the top and maybe can improve the wide receiver room at all. We have enough here. Why are y'all willing to be complacent? This is what the franchise has taught y'all. The organization has taught y'all to be complacent because they're consistently within that winning bubble. They may not be winning a championship, but hey, everyone has the mindset, we're building for the future. We're building for the future. Who cares that we're not winning the Super Bowl this year? Next year, we'll still be a great team. We'll compete for a championship and stuff. You're not thinking about this win now mode. You're not thinking about these guys that are actually trying to compete for a championship. You're thinking about, man, I'm fine with what we have now. We don't need to add to that. What is with that mentality? You can never have too much talent. You're trying to compete for a title. You don't know if the guys you have right now are going to remain healthy for the season. What's wrong with adding extra talent? We constantly did this with our cornerbacks. We thought, hey, we had enough cornerbacks. And then by the time we get to week 12, every single one of our cornerbacks are hurt. And now the secondary just can't make a stop. Every single year that was happening. So where's this idea that we've had enough? You don't need to add to your receiving core. I think what we have is enough. So all right, you're fine being complacent. All right, well, be complacent when the team gets to the playoffs and gets eliminated in the first round, or maybe wins a playoff game and loses in the division round once again. You're talking about wanting to compete for a title and you're getting complacent. Who gets complacent when you want your team to win a title? Like, you're trying to win a championship and you're complacent with what you have. You don't want to grow that. You don't want to expand that. You don't want to build on that. You're perfectly complacent with what you have. What's with that mentality? The league is constantly changing and things are happening on a week-to-week basis, but you're complacent with what you have now. I'm not saying if you don't have the opportunity to change it, hey, go with what you have. But if you have the opportunity to add to that, why are you being complacent? If you're trying to actually compete for a title, why are you being complacent? That's where my question would come in. The team does not care about Lamar's future. I understand a few years ago people said we should develop these wide receivers, but now he's in his final year of his deal. If it's me, I'm going all out. That's the thing. People are saying let's go with these young guys and let's go with these young guys and develop them. Bro, are you trying to compete for a title right now? What do you mean develop the receivers? You're trying to compete for a title this year. You had plenty of time during Lamar's rookie contract to try and develop these receivers. It failed. You're supposed to be in win now mode. The man's trying to get a contract here. He's trying to win a Super Bowl. And you're talking about let's let these receivers develop? What? What? That's crazy. That's actually crazy. Being complacent. Oh, what's going on, Omega? The Bears traded for Chase Claypool. Why on earth should Lamar Jackson invest in the Ravens if they never invested in him? Good question. Good question. But, I mean, it is what it is. This is just how it is, you know? It's just how it is. OBJ is still a free agent, though. Stop getting your hopes up. Why do y'all keep doing this? They're not freaking signing Odell, okay? They're just not. Stop getting your hopes up, okay? If you don't get your hopes up, if you don't expect him to make the move, you're going to be a whole lot more sane or a whole lot more calmer. Because now if OBJ gets signed to, let's say, the Bills or the Chiefs, all of a sudden we're going to be, why didn't the Ravens do that? There's no reason to do that. If you just lower your expectations and know that they don't really care about the receiving core, you're going to be fine, okay? Stop doing this. Yeah, we're all about trading for this guy and trading for that guy. Now that that's over, well, we still can go get OBJ. Why do y'all keep doing this to yourselves? They're not going to go sign OBJ. Let it go. It's not happening. Yeah, the Ravens go sign Roquan Smith and trade Lamar Jackson. It's hopeless. The Ravens don't want what Lamar gives to the team every game. They're not going to trade Lamar. I don't see them trading Lamar unless Lamar directly says, I don't want to be here. If Lamar in one of those meetings says, I don't want to be here anymore, trade me, then they'll trade him. But I don't think that's going to happen, so I don't see them trading him. But yeah, I don't think much is going to change there. I miss Ozzie. He at least made a move for wide receiver. I know we like to believe Ozzie is just this absolute lord. And again, I'm not taking away from what Ozzie does. Obviously, Ozzie built this. We know what he got us 2 rings for a reason. Ozzie built this. But let's not sit back and act like Ozzie was really going out there and investing in the receivers. Aren't we the same fan base that literally sat back and criticized the Ravens for years for not surrounding Joe Flacco with the proper talent to succeed? Weren't we the ones that were getting pissed off of this team by going out and getting freaking Mike Wallace and Jeremy Maclin? Like, how was Flacco supposed to win with Mike Wallace and Jeremy Maclin? We freaking drafted Rashad Perriman and nothing's happening there. We got freaking Kamar Aiken out there as one of our main receivers. Come on. Let's not act like Ozzie was just this guru that was going out there and getting receivers. He was a guru for everything else, but receivers was never Ozzie's thing. Go back and look at the receivers. Go back and look at some of the players we drafted too under Ozzie, especially offensive players. It's not exactly been a clean slate for Ozzie, and it's not like he was out here and making moves for receivers in mid-season. Off-season, the Ravens have always done that. Ozzie made moves to get receivers here in the offseason, but in the middle of the season, before the trade deadline, Ozzie wasn't doing that like that. This team has never been good when it came to this team's never been good when it comes to drafting receivers. So, not when it comes to drafting receivers or going out and getting that top tier receiving talent. So it is what it is. But, you know, it is what it is. Terry McLaurin is a grown man. Oh yeah, he's definitely he's a made man. He's a made man. I know why John Harbaugh doesn't want to fire Roman. That's because he was the offensive coordinator of the Niners when Jim Harbaugh was their coach. That'd be an interesting theory to throw out there, but that's not the reason. Okay, Greg Roman does exactly what the Ravens love doing, so it's not going anywhere. Do you think Jamar Chase is carrying Joe Burrow? I think Jamar Chase has made Joe Burrow's job a lot easier because they have that connection, but it's not like he's carrying Joe Burrow. He's just a big part of their offense because he is that guy. They take away our playmakers every playoff game, and Lamar looks crazy running around waiting for somebody to get open. I don't see how fans don't see that. They see that, but they'll blame Lamar saying he's not making the throws or the guys aren't executing. They'll come up with all sorts of excuses. That's just how it is. So I wouldn't say that Jamar Chase is completely carrying Joe Burrow, but, I mean, he's a huge part of that offense. And we saw last night that he's a glaring hole that is missing from their offense right now. The Saints game looking real easy. Bro, Nicholas, I don't know why you're just saying these things knowing damn well with the way the Ravens have played this season. That should not even be said right now. I want Sean Payton or D'Amico Ryan. No. Chip Kelly. Hell no. Maybe Sean Payton, but dude said Chip Kelly. No. Chase Claypool is not worth the second round pick. You know, that's an interesting... I'm surprised Pittsburgh... I think Pittsburgh's surprised they got a second-round pick for him. Hey, I ain't gonna be mad. Pittsburgh, go out and get your thing. I'm surprised Chicago was willing to give... They just wanted to get a receiver next to Justin Fields, and they felt Claypool was the only one they can go out and get, I guess, for that type of deal. They didn't want to give up a first-round pick, so good on them for getting Justin Fields a weapon, you know. Another team looking to get their young quarterback a weapon that can help out. Eagles trying to be the first undefeated team with the Super Bowl and a first-round draft pick. We'll see. We'll see if they can pull it off. Come on, you need talent around your quarterback to help. Yes, you do. Safe to say Boyle is getting cut next year. $7 million in caps. Yeah, I don't see Boyle being here past this season. I don't see. He's probably going to be... They're probably going to move on from him in the offseason. That was a bad signing. As soon as they offered a guy to block for... I mean, it made sense why they offered him that. He was the best blocking tight end in football. And they do a lot of running, so you need a lot of blocking. He literally fit exactly what they needed him to do. So, I don't think it was a bad thing. They actually got him there for the right reasons. It's unfortunate he got hurt. It's just unfortunate he got hurt. Lamar can force them to trade him. The Ravens have no power with that situation. I mean, technically they could, but they can also wait 2 years. They can always wait about 2 years before they trade him if that was the case. But again, it's all if Lamar wants to leave, which Lamar has shown no indication of him wanting to leave. So it is what it is. Like this idea that he wants to, there has been no indication that that is the case for him. So I doubt that's actually going to happen. Y'all already knew it was going to be defense or nothing. We ain't pulled the trigger on offense since Anquan Bolden. Exactly. I mean, we already knew. We already knew it was going to be defense or nothing. They were not going to get a receiver. So everyone that was constantly me up thinking, you think we can get DJ Moore? You think we can get Elijah Moore? You think we can get Denzel Mims? You think we can go get Chase Claypool? You think we can go get Brandon Cooks from the Texans? People that were hitting me up, I told y'all it's not gonna happen. Lower your legit lower your expectations. The Ravens do not go out and just trade for guys like that. It wasn't gonna happen. It wasn't gonna happen. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. As long as we have Action Jackson with some protection, we are in good hands. Guys, calm down. Yeah, we'll be in good hands. Don't mean we're going to win the championship. So, we'll be in good hands. Like I said, as long as Lamar's here, we'll be in good hands. We're going to win a lot of football games. We might win the division. Probably going to win the division this year if we stay healthy. But we'll be in the playoffs, have a home playoff game. Maybe best case scenario, we win that home playoff game. But then you're going to meet the Bills or the Chiefs, and you're going to get eliminated in the playoffs. So we'll be in good hands with Lamar. But guess what? They also have that guy right there in Josh Allen. And they also have that guy right there in Patrick Mahomes. And they have proven weapons. We don't. Good luck with Mark Andrews, though. You know, good luck with that. I'm sure once the defense decides to double team Mark Andrews and take him out the game, you're going to have guys that are going to show up. Hopefully they can. I hope they're built different now. Maybe they can do what the previous teams couldn't. I don't know. But yeah, we'll be in good hands with Lamar because we're going to win a lot of games. Doesn't mean we're going to win a championship. which is what a lot of people want this team to do.
Then again, you could be on my mind. You can come to my side and be on my mindset and, understand that this is not a Super Bowl contending team right now, just based on, I wouldn't put them over the Bills or the Chiefs. I don't think they're going to get past them. They'll compete, but they're not going to finish those games. So I wouldn't put them as a Super Bowl contending team because I don't think they can beat those type of guys. I don't. Now, that doesn't mean they can't become a Super Bowl contending team. Like I said in my video yesterday, they can still become a Super Bowl contending team, but there's still work that needs to be done. The good news about it is it's a long season. You don't need to be a Super Bowl contending team in week 8. You need to be a Super Bowl contending team by the time the playoffs roll around, so they have time to fix this. But as of right now, I wouldn't say they're a Super Bowl contending team. They're a playoff team. They're definitely a playoff team. But a Super Bowl contending team? No. Jody, why are you doing this to yourself? Why are you doing this to yourself? Shout out to Sir X Gemini with the donation. Appreciate you, brother. Let's be real. We desperately need Bobby Petrino right now. I don't even know if Bobby Petrino would want to come and be an offensive coordinator. Because a lot of us have said, go and get Petrino because that was his coach in Louisville when they ran that pro-style system, where they were actually throwing the ball down the field because, he came into the league actually having a deep ball. And we're not really doing much with that. We keep seeing Lamar trying to throw the ball down the field, but guess what? No one's open. He used to be this dude used to be slinging the ball down the field consistently throughout his time in Louisville. People were questioning his accuracy issues, but no one was questioning his deep ball because he was getting it down there to those receivers. But with this style of offense, it ain't finna happen. But yeah, I wouldn't say we desperately need Bobby Petrino, but if you go and get someone like that, I mean, it could potentially lead to something. I don't think it'd be terrible, but yeah, I don't think Bobby Petrino would come and be an offensive coordinator for the Ravens, nor do I think they're going to go and pursue something like that. So it is what it is. Definitely Super Bowl team have been dominant against two top AFC teams, and Bills and Dolphins just had bad second halves. Yeah, that does not make you that means they have a roster, but that does not make you a contending team. This team is consistently choking against the top tier talent. Just because you can compete with the top guys, and just because you can compete with them, does not automatically make you a Super Bowl contending team if you're unable to finish and actually win those games. Congratulations on being able to dominate the game for 3 quarters and then lose the game still. You can compete with them. You can certainly compete with them, but you're not getting the job done. The team just had their first winning streak after beating the Bucs. That was their first winning streak of the season. It's been win 1 game, lose 1 game. Win 1 game, lose 1 game. If you're not a consistent football team, how can you sit back and say they're a Super Bowl contending team? Now, you can sit back and say they're a Super Bowl roster. I think the talent Baltimore has is enough to compete for a title. But with the way they've performed, I'm not going to say they're a contending team. I can't. They've been inconsistent. You've led in every single game this year, but you've lost 3 of those games because you've blown double-digit lead after double-digit lead after double-digit lead. If you're blowing double-digit leads against the top-tier talent in the league and you're not finishing those games and putting it away and you've been inconsistent for much of the year, it's hard for me to sit back and say you're a Super Bowl contending team. That doesn't mean they can't. What we need to see from them is consistency. Once they get that consistency, you're fine. I think it just means things are fixable and health could play into it. New defensive coordinator and defense just starting to get a new system. Rocky, that's why I said, as of right now, they're not a contending team. But they have plenty of time. They don't need to be a contending team in week 8. They could be a contending team in week 17. You have everyone healthy, you got them back, and you're consistent. If you show the consistency, or if you're showing consistency both offensively and defensively throughout 4 quarters, you're winning games, and you're healthy, yeah, we could be sitting there at the end of the season, heading into the playoffs, maybe 12, 13 wins, and we'll sit back and feel a lot more comfortable about their Super Bowl chances. But this team right now just got their first winning streak. They've been madly inconsistent. They've blown 3 double-digit leads. A team that is consistently choking leads like that would not be considered a Super Bowl contending team. We criticized the hell out of the Falcons for doing that. And that's why people were saying they were not a contending team. You can't hold on to a lead. Until you can be consistent, we cannot call you a contending team. You could be a playoff team, but until you get that consistency, we can't say you're a Super Bowl contending team. So once Baltimore can get that consistency, which again, if they get their players back, they get healthy, and they're consistent through 4 quarters, and they start consistently winning games, then we can start talking about them being a contending team. They got plenty of time. You don't need to be a contending team in Week 8. You want to be a contending team by the end of the season, and hopefully you're in the playoffs, but it's Week 8. They got work to do. I wouldn't consider them a contending team right now, but that doesn't mean they can't turn into that by the end of the season. They just got to put the work in to get to that stage. Hell, they themselves said they're not where they want to be right now.
Shout out to Sir X Gemini again. Appreciate the donation, man. Jalen Smith was Lamar's #1 target at Louisville. Yeah, they were connecting a lot, especially downfield. They were connecting a lot downfield, and it was showing. It was really showing. But we don't really have that here in this offense. Lamar used to sling the ball in Louisville, but, here, we don't really attack downfield like that anymore. And you see moments where it's frustrated the hell out of Lamar Jackson. And he's taken quite the amount of sacks by just standing in the pocket and looking downfield and trying to get that ball downfield, but no one's there. Okay, so besides a wide receiver, what else does the Ravens need? In terms of roster-wise, I don't think, now that they just added Roquan Smith, there's nothing that I would really sit back and say. The secondary, again, even with the injuries, the secondary is still one of the best units. You just added a fantastic linebacker, so I think you've solidified that. Your pass rush could be better. I guess if you want to say that, if you want to go out and get that legitimate pass rush, you could, but you're getting back Bowser and Ojabo, you're getting back Bowser and Ojabo, so they seem content with what they have talent-wise. So, yeah, the defense pretty much looks sealed up. The running back position's been great, though injuries to J.K. has kind of taken that back, and then Gus suffering a hamstring injury, though it's not severe, can also take it back. Of course, you're already set on the quarterback's position. You have Lamar, that's your franchise guy. Tight end position is fine with Andrews, and you're adding a guy in Likely that seems to be good. The offensive line probably could use an extra piece there to improve, but it's held up so far. I would like an extra piece for the offensive line, but it's done well so far. But yeah, the receiving position right now would probably be somewhat of a need. So besides the receiving position, I don't think there's anything else on this team that you would really say needs a desperate need. Some people will say pass rush, but you have to at least see what you got with Ojabo, and Bowser's coming back, so that's going to improve it as well. So we'll see what happens, but probably receiver's the only one that people are going to complain about at this point, especially now that you got Roquan Smith to fix that linebacking situation. So there's no reason to complain about the linebacking situation. Isabella and Deshaun Jackson running a seam and a post. No safety will hold up with Likely and Mandrews underneath. Good. I mean, if you assume that's going to automatically work, it depends on if people are actually going to... It depends on if the defense is willing to bite. First of all, I doubt Isabella's going to get a lot of time. Secondly, it depends on if they're going to bite on Deshaun Jackson, because Deshaun Jackson's going to have to go out there and still prove he can burn defenders. He has to prove that he can actually get behind defenders still, because until he can show that, people are not going to be like, okay, that's still Deshaun Jackson. We gotta focus on that, because you're going to have to prove that first. But just doing that straight up isn't automatically going to guarantee it's going to work out. And they're going to have countermeasures for that type of play, even if they would have run that. One piece of the Ravens? That's a good question. They've both been in my life for a long time. I can't choose. I legitimately can't choose. I might come up with one. Give me some time to think about that. We will win 11 to 12 games and win one playoff game and go home in the second round because we are content with just being playoff contenders or in the mix. I mean, that's the prediction I made. I said we were going to go 12-5, win a home playoff game, and probably lose to the Bills or Chiefs. So that fits within what I said. But, let's see if they surprise me. They could just... Oh, sorry, I already said that one. Our offensive line is dominant. We got the best center in the NFL. Yeah, we got the best center in the NFL. Offensive line, I would like to add another piece. But, I mean, it's been fantastic. It's gotten better every single week. So, having Linderbaum being dominant right off the bat, coming out and doing what he's doing, and then having Ronnie Stanley back has been fantastic. Since he's been back, we haven't heard a peep from him. That's what you want to have. You want to have that with your offensive linemen. You don't want to hear from them, because if you don't hear from them, that means they're doing their job and Lamar is being clean. He's not getting sacked a lot. If he gets sacked, it has to be on him just holding the ball, not the offensive line giving up, guys just free release to the quarterback like that. All right, our defense is top in the league without Roquan. Stop thinking about that. We about to get even more dominant. I mean,
I'm not going to lie. You could try your very best to be as dominant as possible. We're still in a passing era. And when you have those top tier receivers, they're still going to find ways to make plays. And at the end of the day, it only takes one player to make a mistake. As great as and as dominant as this defense is, I still know there's certain pieces on that defense I just wouldn't want to see go one-on-one. And we've seen it. I don't like Brandon Stevens going one-on-one with the top tier guys. I don't want to have moments of that, which has happened. Same thing with what was it with Armour Davis or something? We can be as dominant as you can, but in an era where passing takes the precedent, I don't know how far that's going to take you. Especially if you don't have a pass rush. It's not about having a dominant defense. You need to have that dominant pass rush specifically. Your secondary can be solid, but if you don't have that dominant pass rush that can get to a quarterback without pressuring, you're in a lot of trouble. Because the Bills' defense is dominant. And they were dominant last year. They were the #1 defense, and they still lost to the Chiefs. That's just the type of era we're in. So I would love to, having a dominant defense is great, but it doesn't guarantee you're automatically going to shut down opposing offenses. What's going on, Ravens C? And loyal to Houston. What's going on to my guys here? And Kevin, bro, back to back to back. What's going on with my guys? Appreciate y'all stopping by here. But yeah, what was I talking about? Yeah, the defense. In an era like this, having a dominant defense can only take you so far if the pass rush isn't dominant. If you have a dominant secondary and a dominant linebacking core, that's great. But if you can't get to the quarterback, still not going to be good enough. I'm sorry. If you cannot get to the quarterback, these guys are going to carve you up. The pass rush in this era of football, the pass rush is the most important aspect of your defense. If you can't get to the quarterback with the way these guys are able to move today, with Mahomes and Lamar and Allen, and now you're getting all these other young guys, Jalen Hurts, he's coming in the picture as well, and Justin Fields, with all these guys that are able to move, if you don't have that dominant pass rush that can get to the quarterback without blitzing, you're going to be in trouble. That's what's been hurting Baltimore the last couple of years. You can have all the talent you want in the secondary. You can have all the talent you want in the linebacking core. Hell, your front seven can be solid enough to try and make those stops. But if you can't get to the quarterback, make those stops in the run, but that's what I mean. Like, they could be a great run-stopping team. But if you can't get to the quarterback, it's not going to mean much. So the pass rush is the most prominent aspect of the defense. And right now, Baltimore's pass rush has improved from what it was last year, but it's still not where we want it to be. Hopefully, it will get there. Hopefully, it will get there. This is still a 60-minute game. We're keeping the ball 40 minutes a game. That isolates the efficiency of passing offense. Ask Brady. Okay, well, you can also ask Josh Allen and ask Tua. So it hasn't always worked out like that. Like we said, we've done. You can ask Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. You can ask Tua and Tyreek Hill with Jalen Waddle. You can go ask Josh Allen. It doesn't always work like that. Saying ask Brady, it doesn't always work like that, buddy. You can dominate for 40 minutes with the time of possession, but what are you doing in those 40 minutes? There's been several moments in this season where we have had 9-10-minute drives where we would go from our own 10 all the way down to the goal line and we would fail to score. It's happened several times. So you can dominate in time of possession. What are you doing with that time of possession? That's one. And two, are you making the stops? Because what if they're scoring fast? We dominated time of possession against the Dolphins, but they were just putting up points like that. So just saying, ask Brady, what about all these other ones? What about Tua? What about Josh Allen? What about Daniel Jones? Don't fall for all them empty calories and yardage. That don't mean nothing if you're not scoring touchdowns. Yeah, I mean, you can say the same thing for our offense because that's been happening over the last couple weeks. Putting up a lot of yardages, but we're not scoring touchdowns. Davon, how you doing, bro? Appreciate you stopping by. Only guys who should be going one-on-one is Marlon MP, and Pepe's okay, but he gets beat sometimes. Well, he's a rookie, so yeah. But yeah, Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters should be the only ones that are going one-on-one. So I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that.
The same way I feel about the Texans. Yeah, if the Texans had an effective pass rush, you'd probably be in a way better position than you are right now. Oh, Joshua, what's going on, Joshua? How you doing, man? Appreciate you stopping by. Ravens aren't trading Lamar, so I can't answer that question for you. Let's be honest. If A.J. Brown was here, he would be getting 6 catches at best. He's not getting more than that in a Greg Roman RPO. We need T. Martin. I mean, I'm all for getting rid of Greg Roman. I've said that, but I'm not going to push it this year. Whatever happens, they chose to keep him. Whatever happens, I'm holding it on John Harbaugh and Eric DeCosta's head. But if you had an A.J. Brown here, 6 catches is more than enough for him to be effective. Did you see what he did the other day to the Steelers? 6 catches, 3 of those could be for touchdowns. But having the A.J. Brown here doesn't just help with having that, that extra weapon, but it also opens things up because now what people are not understanding is none of our receivers put fear in defenses. So they don't have that person that's taking the top off the defense. They don't have that person that the defense has to put extra emphasis on. So they could just easily cover our guys. With A.J. Brown, you're going to have to put an emphasis on him. That opens it up for the other receivers to eat. But people don't understand that. If you had an A.J. Brown here, it's going to open things up for the other receivers because there's going to be times where they double team him. If you had both Mark Andrews and A.J. Brown on the field together, they're going to have to put the emphasis on Andrews and the emphasis on A.J. Brown. Do you know what that opens up for everybody else? It's not just about being productive and putting up those stats. It's the emphasis those top-tier guys put because you have to put that emphasis. Otherwise, they're going to kill you downfield. You got those 2 guys there. How do you stop an offense? You have Mark Andrews on one side. You have Mark Andrews here, and then you have A.J. Brown on the outside. Defenders are going to have to worry about those 2 guys. That opens it up for the other guys. But we don't have no one else there. So when they double team Mark Andrews, they still have enough guys to focus on our receivers. And when Mark Andrews is not there, they can just zone in on everybody. That's why you need to have multiple top-tier guys. Question, fam. If we did get a wide receiver, Giro's scheme would still hold them back. I agree. Raven C, you know we stand on the same place with this. I agree. Greg Roman's scheme is going to hold them back. But at least it's going to... But the benefit of getting that top-tier guy, is it's going to open things up for everybody else. So even in Greg Roman's whack scheme, somebody's going to be open. Somebody, just because you have to have that emphasis. Defenses are still going to put that emphasis there. Now, if you get that top-tier guy, he's not going to have numbers. I hope he understands if he's there, he's not going to have numbers here. But he's going to help out everybody else. And if Lamar spreads the ball, you're in a much better place. But yeah, I absolutely agree with you. In this scheme, somebody's going to be open if you do that. Most likely would be Patrick Ricard. How do you feel about Monday night? I think... Monday night was very weird. I did not know Joe Burrow was 0-4 against the Browns heading into that game. He's never beaten Cleveland. And they thrashed them. They desperately missed Jamar Chase, but that's not the main reason they lost that game. That defense just couldn't stop the run. So I think things are going to get worse for Cincinnati. They didn't even make a move by the trade deadline. So I don't know what they're going to do. Things are going to get worse. Jamar Chase is going to be out for a while. You still got to deal with the Bills on your schedule. You still got to deal with the Chiefs. And the Titans, bro, you couldn't stop Nick Chubb. Good luck stopping Derrick Henry. And Nick Chubb is a beast. If you can't stop one beast, how are you going to stop another beast? That's my thing. Nick Chubb is one type of beast. Derrick Henry is another type of beast. If you couldn't stop one beast, good luck stopping the other beast. The Titans aren't even going to need to throw the football against the Bengals because this dude going to be running all over Cincy's defense. And the fact that they're 0-3 in the division makes it worse. So you're 0-3, you lost your best receiver, who's an all-pro receiver. Your defense just got ran all over by the Cleveland Browns, and that made you 0-3 in the division. So now you're looking really bad right now. Your schedule gets harder from here, and you're missing your top weapon. Yeah, best of luck to Cincinnati. That's all I got to say. Best of luck to Cincinnati. Good luck. Do you think Lamar doesn't feel important to the offense when it comes to giving support on offense? I don't think that's how he feels. I can't. First of all, I'm not going to speak for how Lamar feels or about certain things, but it doesn't come off like he feels the offense doesn't think he's important. I don't think that's the case. Maybe he's just. It feels like it's more so he could be frustrated with how things are happening within the offense. So maybe he's not frustrated with the players he has. He's frustrated with the scheme because it's not allowing everybody to eat, or it's not allowing everybody to get involved the way he wants them to. But I mean, this is my own indication of what I'm seeing here. But I don't think he's feeling like he's not important to the front office. I don't think that's the case here. So I wouldn't say that. Ravens top 5 in scoring in the league. Ravens top 5 in scoring the league. NFL scoring is way down. Okay, I know what you're saying. Yeah, we're a top 5 scoring offense, and this NFL scoring this year is way down, which is true. I mean, you look at Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, and Russell Wilson. Their points per game is just like lower. Their offense's excuse me. Their offense's points per game is like lower than what it's been compared to previous years. So that's just how it is. I think the reason the Ravens didn't trade for a receiver is they see Mark Andrews as a wide receiver more than a tight end. It's not really about that, but it's more so that they just don't really emphasize or utilize receivers in their scheme. So getting a top-tier receiver would be wasted here because he's not going to be able to produce the way he's not going to be able to produce the way a number one receiver is supposed to produce. Looks like a heavy run game Monday night. I'm sure we will attempt to air it out in the dome with Deshaun Jackson. They'll make an attempt. Shout out to Mike Shepard with the donation. I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for the love and support. And he's got a nice thumbs up here, too. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Monday night should be very interesting against the Saints. I can't wait to talk about that, but I'm not going to talk about it yet. Today's Tuesday. I got time. I'll probably talk about it maybe Thursday or Friday, but I still got time. Maybe I might talk about it early this week. I don't know, but I want to see how things progress because there's guys that may play and guys that may not play, and I want to have the report of who's going to be there before I make my preview. So I want to get a good assessment of that, at least at the point. What wide receivers are available for us? Well,
now that the trade deadline is over, one of the main guys that's available is OBJ, but Ravens aren't going to get him. Who the hell's? I know that T.Y. Hilton's still available, and people still believe the Ravens are going to get T.Y. Hilton because that's such a Ravens move, and I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, for God's sakes, they went and picked up Deshaun Jackson from his couch, so anything can happen with this team. Anything can happen. They see Marcus Lamar, Stephon Diggs. Yeah, they do. They do. Hell, the NFL promotes it like that. So they're just like, hey, you can get it done with that tight end. I think receivers don't want to come here because of Greg Roman. Former NFL players in Hollywood have called out Greg Roman. Oh yeah, we've said this several times over. So this is not a surprise. It's so funny how the media and football fans love three tight end sets. New England ran for years as Gronk being the number one. We do it, and it's a problem. You can't run dime against 3 tight ends. I mean, we've run that here, but you have to have the guys to be able to pull it off. We don't have the 3 tight ends to pull it off. You got two with Andrews and Likely, but Nick Boyle hasn't been the person we expected him to. Nick Boyle right now is not the Nick Boyle we had in 2019 when we were running those 3 tight end sets. So that's been a problem. And no one else is really good enough to fill that position right now. Now, maybe Kolar will be that because we did draft him. I don't know, but the 3 tight end sets haven't been showing up much here because you don't have that third guy to really fit into it. So that's why we haven't really been seeing them run it like that. The offense will be fine. Yeah, the offense will be fine. We'll win a lot of games, get into the playoffs, maybe win a playoff game, and get beat by the Bills or Chiefs because we won't be able to execute or we won't be able to do whatever excuse Ravens Flock's going to use. So yeah, we'll be fine. Who needs to add more to what you have? It's not like you're trying to win a championship. You want to add extra pieces. You can never not have too much talent, but we're fine. We're fine. If you believe the team can win a Super Bowl, we're not fine. You would want to add more pieces. You never want to be complacent if the goal is a championship. But if the goal is to make the playoffs, Baltimore's perfectly fine. Baltimore's perfectly fine. But yeah, what's going on, agent? Just had to get that
appreciation here. Bateman was supposed to be the guy. It's not the Ravens' fault. He's injury prone. Mendy, let me tell you something, man. The Ravens thought a lot of receivers was supposed to be the guy. They weren't. The Ravens historically have been terrible drafting receivers. I posed this question at the beginning of the stream. I'm gonna pose it again. From 1996, from when the Ravens were first established as a team, from 96 when they first came to Baltimore, all the way to now, go and take a look at the draft picks that the Ravens have used for receivers. One, go and take a look at them. Now, see how many of them worked out for Baltimore. Now, of those that actually were able to produce for Baltimore, how many of those guys were here for 5+ years? And as well as how many, not even just as well, but how many of those guys were here for 5+ years, and how many of those guys had a second contract with Baltimore? Okay, go do that. Go look at the list of the receivers, not the receivers they picked up via free agency. Go look from 96 to now. Go look at all the receivers the Ravens drafted. How many of those receivers actually panned out for the Ravens? Now, of those ones that actually panned out, how many of them were on this roster after 5 years? And how many of those guys actually got a second contract? You'd find that to be very small. This team has never been good drafting historically. The greatest wide receiver they ever drafted was Torrey Smith. He was drafted in 2011. He was gone by 2015. And it's not like he wasn't producing, but he was gone by 2015. They didn't give him a contract. Or they didn't give him what he was looking for. The second best receiver they ever drafted, arguably, Hollywood Brown, was here for 3 years and got traded. He didn't want to be here anymore. The Ravens have not been good historically. They also drafted another person that ended up being injury prone that they believe was supposed to be their guy. His name is Brashad Perriman. So maybe if you're not good at drafting and you're not good at developing the receivers, maybe you should go out and get a receiver that's proven. Because if you don't know what you're doing, one of two things. You can either go out and get yourself a receiver that's proven, or you can get rid of this coaching staff or this personnel and go find guys that actually know how to develop receivers. Because Pittsburgh always knows how to draft and develop receivers. We don't. They're the opposite of us. We know how to draft and develop DBs. They don't. They know how to draft and develop receivers. We don't. So maybe you got to make some sort of change there in the office, in the personnel, coaching staff, front office, whatever. Make a change so you can actually get guys here that can actually do the job. So that's where I would speak on that. In terms of saying Bateman was supposed to be the guy. Yeah, they thought a lot of guys was supposed to be the guy, but they haven't worked out. They thought Hollywood would be the guy, but he ended up getting traded because he didn't want to be here. I'm really loving Kenyon Drake's ability to catch and run. He has made a lot of plays. Yeah, Kenyon Drake has been a nice addition. Like, he's been fantastic. He's been, ever since he got his legs, I think he said he got his legs around the Giants game where he finally got adjusted to our system. Since then, he's been going at it, and he's been a great piece. That's your third back. That's your third back right there. Hell, you're going to alternate between your three. Once you get JK back and, it's Gus, let him rest up that hamstring. If you have all three of them together, Gus, JK, and Drake, you can alternate between those three. I love what I'm seeing from Kenyon Drake. He's been a great addition, and I appreciate him. I really do appreciate him. So, yeah, I agree with you on that. It's the Ravens' fault for putting their eggs in one basket with no backup plan. That's what they tend to do a lot of times. T. Martin for offensive coordinator, I wouldn't be against it. Giro understands time of possession. You keep elite offenses on the sideline. Lamar is the king of time of possession. Our defense is rested and offenses play out of character due to ball control. Yeah, he understands that, but guess what? Giro's not the only offensive coordinator that understands time of possession. There's several other offensive coordinators that understand time of possession. And they can still be creative in the pass game. And they still know how to be consistent with their play calling. That's not new to offensive coordinators. You look at the Niners. They definitely understand time of possession. What they're doing with Garoppolo is literally managing that. They're running the ball efficiently and managing the clock. And they're finding ways to win games with Jimmy Garoppolo as their quarterback. So, yeah, there are several other offensive coordinators that understand time of possession. They also know how to be creative in the passing game, know how to get their receivers involved, and know how to be consistent with the play calling. So, yeah. Steve Smith, Phillip Rivers, Kurt Warner, Dez, and Hollywood called out Greg Roman. It's no secret the Ravens see no problem. Pretty much. T.Y. could fit. Yeah, he would. He's such a Ravens player. He would. Don't know how much he would contribute, but he could definitely fit. I ain't gonna lie, I do want Christian McCaffrey over getting another receiver. I wouldn't have mind McCaffrey over here, but getting another running back, I don't see how that would help Baltimore. Now you're dealing with, especially because I'm pretty sure Gus is a free agent at this point. It's gonna be very confusing with this running back room. I have no idea how it's gonna look next year. What's up? Not Ravens related, but who's your favorite One Piece character? Luffy. That's my favorite One Piece character. My favorite One Piece character is Luffy, which is, I find it interesting because it's not like I have a lot of series where my favorite character is the main character, but that is the case because, with Naruto wasn't my favorite character, and then in Dragon Ball, Goku wasn't my favorite character. It was Gohan. For Naruto, I'm pretty sure it was Kakashi early. Naruto was switched several times from Kakashi to Itachi to Guy, and it was crazy. To Jiraiya and then Guy, so it switched. But Naruto was never my favorite character. And then for Dragon Ball, yeah, Gohan was my favorite character, and then Vegeta. So it was never Goku. But that doesn't mean I don't love the main characters. But yeah, with One Piece, it just happened to be Luffy, which is crazy. Also, kind of wanted Jerry Judy. Not surprised. Didn't think that was gonna happen. Charlie Kolar is going to show us all a lot. You heard it here first. I hope he can. They drafted him. If there's anything the Ravens actually know how to do in terms of drafting weapons, they know how to draft the tight end position, so hopefully he can provide something. The Ravens offense can score. The problem is once we get up, the defense lets them back in the game. Ron, you're partly right. The defense does let them back in the game, but the offense also gets stalled. What we always fail to mention is the offense gets stalled. There's two sides to that coin. When the defense is giving up the points, how is the offense responding? Go look at the offense in the fourth quarter this season. It's not just the defense that's been the issue. The offense will get the lead early on, and then it will stall. Whether they're getting complacent, getting conservative on offense, or just doing stupid things, the offense will stall after getting a lead. So now you have a defense that's not making stops, and an offense that's not putting up points. That's how you choke a lead. Why is Nick Boyle still on the team? I think they can't cut him this year because they'll have to pay the $7 million. But if they do next year, they can save the $7 million. So if they do it in the offseason, it is what it is. Oy. That's problem. I'm not scared of no sorry Bills or no sorry Chiefs. Our defense had Josh Allen looking his worst he had all year. Yeah, we had him looking his worst all year, but they still won the game and came back down 17. So what does that say about us? That is not a statement you want to put out right there. It's different if we were the Dolphins, because the Dolphins had him looking bad. They ran 90 plays. In 90 plays, they couldn't beat the Miami Dolphins. So think about that. The Dolphins can say your statement, because they actually beat them. We're saying we made Josh Allen look his worst. So at his worst, Josh Allen still helped lead a 17-point comeback in our building. So how does that make us look? That's not exactly the message you want to push, my friend. The Ravens' downfall is situational play calling, lack of adjustments on offense to the opposing defense, to opposition's defensive adjustments, and not having a wide receiver to beat man coverage, and lastly, health. Yeah, you pointed out a lot of the problems we're having right now, and it's still there. Got to change the philosophy, like we've been saying for years. Mess is crazy how stubborn they are. That is true. That is very true. That is very true. But I don't think they're going to change the philosophy this year, so that's just where it is. Only 2 produced, but they didn't get second contracts that lasted 5 years. Have we ever had a receiver last 5 years in Baltimore? I don't think so. So that should just tell you how they value that position. Because I can guarantee you Mark Andrews is going to be here for 5+ years. Dennis Pitta was certainly here for 5+ years. That's just how it is. You can tell what they value. Ravens fan, this is the truth. Ozzie Newsome was a tight end. He taught EDC who prioritized tight ends. This has been going on since '96. He's never been great at drafting receivers, so it is what it is. That's just how it is. Historically, they don't give black quarterbacks a lot of weapons or a good O-line. Yeah, historically, it's hard to say that right now when you're watching freaking Jalen Hurts get all the weapons in the world and Kyler Murray get all the weapons in the world. While everyone is celebrating the Roquan Smith trade, I'm going to ask this: how are the Ravens going to score points this year? Good luck thinking Gus is Derrick Henry. They have ways to score points, but how are they going to score points consistently, especially in the playoffs? So that would be my question. Doesn't really surprise me that they're doing this to Lamar. They did the same to Cam Newton. They never really gave Cam a damn thing in Carolina, and that's sad. Problem is, until the scheme changed, no big wide receiver will ever come here. Yeah, it is what it is. We got to go back to 1999 when we drafted Brandon Stokely. He was pretty solid, and he was gone by 2003.
Stokely was very solid. Stokely lasted for a long time in the league.
And he was still gone. They don't keep receivers for 5 years.
You like Rashad Bateman? He's not going to be here in 5 years. Devin Duvernay actually may be the one receiver that's going to be here in 5 years because he's a returner and he's also using the run game. So he fills two spots that the Ravens love. So Devin Duvernay might actually be that receiver that's here for 5 years, and he might get a second contract because he helps in the run and the return game.
But even then, I'm not fully sure he's going to be here in 5 years. So that's what it is. That's a bad faith argument. Only about 10 out of 32 teams have drafted good wideouts, and we have more chips than the Chiefs, Bills, Dolphins, Eagles put together. Yeah, that's great, but that still doesn't take away from the fact that that's great. 10 out of 32 teams have drafted good wideouts. We're not one of those 10. And yeah, we won. We found ways to win chips, but guess what? The era has changed. And even 2000, we were able to win with a dominant defense. But that didn't happen in 2012. Guess what? Baltimore did one thing. They drafted the best receiver they had in franchise history. They actually hit on Torrey Smith. That was their best receiver in franchise history. And then they went out and got an Anquan Bolden. They did things that we're asking them to do right now. Go out and get a guy. But yeah, I mean, 10 out of 32 teams have drafted good wideouts. Or about 10, that's about the number. Yeah, but yeah, it is what it is. That's a great number, and that's a great point to say, hey, 10 out of 32 teams have drafted good wideouts. Unfortunately, we're not one of those 10. And I'm not speaking for those other teams. Fans can speak for their fan base as to why. I'm not going to use metrics of other teams. I don't care about what other teams are doing. If you're not drafting a position well, either figure that out, figure out what the issue is, maybe change the personnel, change somebody in the front office, get that situation going, or accept, hey, we're not hitting on these guys. Let's use the draft pick we were going to use to draft the receiver and go out and get a guy. There's a solution to this. The teams that you're talking about that haven't drafted good wideouts, you know what they did? They went out and got some other guys, most likely. And yeah, we do have more chips than the Chiefs, Bills, Dolphins, and Eagles put together. Bills have never won. They've been to the Super Bowl 4 times. They lost. But they got there. But they lost. Dolphins have won because they haven't had a quarterback. I mean, they had one in the 70s, and then they had Dan Marino, never won a chip with him. That was unfortunate. And the Eagles won their chip in 2017. Chiefs won their chip in 2019 because they actually have a quarterback now that can do that. You know, the best quarterback they had past that, maybe 1 year of Joe Montana, if you want to say that. But still, I mean, even if you're not good at drafting receivers, there are other ways to fix this thing. I'm not saying like the Ravens have to be perfect in drafting receivers. At the end of the day, you assess these guys and you're not going to hit on all your draft picks. Unfortunately, the Ravens have never really been able to hit on their receiving draft picks. My thing is, if you know you're not hitting on these guys, take those picks and go out and get somebody else. If I'm not doing something well, I'm going to find another way to fix that. If you're not drafting linebackers well, go out and trade for a linebacker. The pick you're going to use for a linebacker, go get one that's in his prime right now. There are solutions to this. The Ravens are not hitting. All these receivers that they're drafting, I would rather have them use them on different places, on different aspects that they can actually hit on. If you're not hitting on receiver, don't draft the receiver. You're not hitting on those. Instead, the draft pick you wanted to use, take that draft pick and go out and get yourself a receiver that's already a made man and bring him on the team. There's alternate solutions. That's how you have to be creative. If they're not hitting, Dolphins have 2. Really? Yeah, I know the Chiefs have 2. They won one in Super Bowl. It was early on when the Chiefs won theirs. It was in the 70s, I believe, when the Chiefs won theirs. And then they won another one with Patrick Mahomes. But Dolphins got another one? Besides the undefeated season, I don't remember. I would have to look back on that. But that's my thing. If you're not hitting on the receivers, that's what I'm legitimately want to ask all these people that are saying, well, the Ravens are investing in them. They're drafting all these receivers. In the last 2 to 3 years, they're drafting all these receivers. They're just not working out. Well, if you know you are a team that's historically bad at drafting receivers, why not use those draft picks to go out and get a main man instead of just sitting back and drafting another receiver that's probably not going to work? If I'm not good at drafting corners, why not take that first round draft pick that I was looking to pick up a corner with and go get me a made man corner? Come on, man. You're going to waste 3 draft picks on receivers and none of them hit.
You could have used 2 of those draft picks to get you a receiver, and that 3rd draft pick could have been used on a player that you can actually hit on. It's Greg, my guy. It's not just Greg when it comes to receivers. This has been a thing before Greg Roman. We've never been good with drafting and developing receivers. It's not just a Greg Roman thing. It's never really been a Greg Roman thing. We already having players like Kamar Aiken on this team being our leading receiver at some point. Come on. So we've never been good. It was way before Greg Roman that we were still messing up with the receiving position. You're right. It's not all the defense's fault. If we had, right, it's not all the defense's fault. If we had Gus, we would have had beat the Bills and Dolphins. Gus would have punched them in the goal line. Well, punched them, or would have punched in them goal line chances. Potentially. I can't say it's a guarantee, but I like my odds with Gus Edwards. So there's a chance that's the case. But then again, with Gus Edwards in, how do you know you get that lead? We can't just assume that you just plug in a player and the same exact events happen, but this time you're successful. That's not really how football works. If there's a different player, there's probably a different play that's going to be run. So maybe with Gus Edwards, they're running the ball a little bit more. Maybe they run the ball more effective with Gus Edwards than they did in that game. Maybe they run it less effective. I don't know. But I can't just plug in a player and automatically assume the exact same situation is going to happen, only this time by plugging in this player, we win the game this time. It's difficult to make that assessment. We can try to make that assessment, but it's not like it's 100% guaranteed to happen. So it is what it is. Ozzie was a Hall of Fame tight end, hence why he views tight ends as the number 1 option. That's funny. Any other quarterback loses their number 1 and number 2 option, it's an L. If Josh Allen loses Diggs, that's an L. Look at all the receivers Kyler Murray has, and he still can't win. I mean, with Josh Allen, at this point, you can't really say that if he loses Diggs, that's an L, because he still will make it work with Knox and Davis. And we've seen him make it work with Knox and Davis. There's been games where he's not even, where Diggs is getting locked up, where he's basically irrelevant, and he still won with Davis and Knox. So he actually has guys that he trusts now. So that's a bit of a difficult statement to say. Kyler's a different situation too, because he does have the weapons, but though they keep getting injured, and he still can't win. But here's my thing about that whole thing. Using that as an assessment, saying, well, you're getting all these weapons for Kyler and they're not winning. Well, maybe Kyler's just not the type of quarterback many people think he is. Maybe this, I don't know. Is it Kyler? Is it the system? I don't know. Maybe it's the system. A lot of people believe it's Kingsbury's system that's holding Kyler back. Some believe Kyler's just not that guy because he can't make the weapons work. My argument is, if you believe you have that quarterback and that scheme to make it work, you shouldn't be afraid to do it. Why? Because on the flip side, the Rams did not hesitate to go out and get Matthew Stafford because they believed last year he was going to be the guy to get them to a Super Bowl. They didn't care about the draft picks. He believed he was going to be the guy to get them there, and it got them a ring. That's just how it worked out. It got them a ring. If you're looking for a championship and you're willing to give up your future for it to get the ring, you better get the ring. They got the ring. Cardinals are giving up all these draft picks to get these weapons. It's not working out. Maybe they just don't have the right coach to get it done. Maybe they don't have the quarterback that's built to get it done. I don't know. You remember when the Ravens used to play consistent 4 quarters of football and offense and defense? Good times, man. That was really only 2019, which was a special year. Like, for the most part, and that's an outlier. For the most part, hell, in the Flacco era, we did not play consistently. In 2020, we did not play consistently either. So, like, that was really just a rare year for the Ravens. We're used to the inconsistency as Ravens fans. We want it to be more consistent, but we're used to this. So, it is what it is. We're kind of used to it at this point. It is what it is. You just accept it. Chris Moore lasted 5 years. Chris Moore lasted 5 years because he was also in special teams. If you're a special teams player and you're a return man, you're going to last as a receiver here because you're working on special teams, which is why I think Devin Duvernay can actually last for 5 years here because he's utilizing the run game and he's our returner. So I think he can last for more than 5 years here. But it is what it is. All right, look at how terrible the Bengals look with all their receivers. You can't have receivers trying to crack blocks on defensive ends. That's why they look trash. Man, there's a lot of things wrong with the Bengals, and I think it starts with Zach Taylor. Go ask Bengals fan, that definitely starts with Zach Taylor, man. It's Greg Roman. We drafted Hollywood, and he was a beast, but he wanted to trade because of our offense. He wanted to trade because he understood the Ravens. Well, one, he didn't want to play in Greg Roman's system anymore, and two, he understand the Ravens don't really care about the receiving core. They don't emphasize the receiving core. That's why he said he believed they can win without him, because they don't emphasize the receiving core. They don't care about receivers, bro. But this has been here before Greg Roman. They've never really emphasized the receiving core. They've never cared about the receiving core like that. Lamar took a rookie Isaiah Likely and balled out. Lamar's elite because he can still win even without elite receivers. He's 42-15, has never had an elite receiver because he don't need one to win. Yeah, he doesn't need one to win games, but we want him to win a Super Bowl. And sorry, as much as we love Lamar Jackson, you can't expect him to just do it on his own. How the hell are you going to sit back and say, hey, Lamar, you see right there, Josh Allen. Josh Allen has Stephon Diggs and Gabriel Davis, and he's got Knox, who's a hell of a player as well. Hey, look, Patrick Mahomes, he's still got Travis Kelce there, and now they got him with Juju and Valdez-Scantling. He's got plenty of weapons over there to utilize. We want you to make it work with a rookie Isaiah Likely. Mark Andrews still here, though. You know, they're going to double team him, so you probably have to rely on rookie Isaiah Likely, Rashad Bateman, who can't stay healthy, so maybe he's there, maybe he's not. A 36-year-old Deshaun Jackson. Find a way to beat those guys. You know, you're an elite quarterback going up against other elite quarterbacks. They've got better weapons than you, and you got to find a way to win the game. Good luck winning the Super Bowl like that. Bateman is a normal, mid, good, or elite receiver. I think he's a good receiver, but, you know, he hasn't taken that next step. He's a good receiver, but he hasn't also stayed healthy, so, you know, it is what it is. Imagine if we actually took a chance on Anquan Boldin in the 2003 draft with Brandon Stokely getting traded to Indy. We didn't have a quarterback, so it still wouldn't have been that much of a difference. Do you think Tennessee was going to send us A.J. Brown, being that we are in the same conference? But I agree we should go get a made man. I agree. Hey, he doesn't have to send it. I was using A.J. Brown as an example. But I'm sorry, there was a Devontae Adams that could have been traded for, even though he probably wouldn't want to be in Baltimore. There were other guys. I'm not saying that, you know, in the AFC you can go get those receivers, but there's some guys in the NFC you could have attempted to trade for because they'd be going to a different conference. At least make an attempt to try to get something there. And then again, they are making the attempt. So, you know, guys clearly aren't trading with us, so there's some problem there. Raiders are loaded with weapons and stink. Yeah, because Josh McDaniel is a horrible coach. He's a terrible coach, and everybody knows it. He should have never had a second chance. He was horrible when he was a coach of the Broncos. He's even worse now with the Raiders. And Derek Carr is not the guy people thought he would be. So if you don't have a good quarterback and you don't have a good coach, yeah, you're going to stink, even if you have good weapons. Well, Kyler and his system throws the ball 50 times a night. There is no balance. Yeah, got to look at Cliff for that. The fact that Steve Smith has said Prochet is the most all-around receiver on the team, and he doesn't even have 100 yards on the season, says something about this front office. Yeah. Why were the Ravens unstoppable in 2019? Because when you have Greg Roman coming in with this system and running that with a quarterback that no one really knows. Lamar was special that year. So that's number one. Lamar was special that year. Number two, Greg Roman was running the same system he was running with Colin Kaepernick, but you had a better quarterback, so teams just weren't able to make that adjustment. But like I said, if you look at his track history, whenever Greg Roman goes and he's an offensive coordinator of a new team, that first year to year and a half, my God, the offense is something different. It was like that with Colin Kaepernick with the Niners. It was like that with Tyrod Taylor in the Bills. It was like that with the Ravens during that 2019 season. You just have to have that player that's playing that well, and we had an elite player, so that's why we got an MVP season out of that. But yeah, after a while, that offense starts to wear off because teams are like, okay, so we know what Greg Roman's doing again this time. We picked this, and that. We know what's happening here. We know how to handle it. Why give Roman any more weapons? He don't know how to use what he got. We're not trying to give Roman any more weapons. We're trying to give Lamar more weapons. Because if Roman ain't going to do something, at some point, Lamar going to step up and say, listen, I'm going to get them involved. Hollywood was top 7 in targets last year. He just don't like blocking. Hollywood got the ball. In my humble opinion, Hollywood's selfish. I mean, he personally said he felt that this team could have won without him, so maybe he just didn't feel involved. I don't know. Either way, he got what he wanted. He's in Arizona now. He's injured now, but he'll be back soon. Josh Allen most likely wins MVP? Yeah. Josh Allen most likely wins MVP. I think he's definitely the guy right now. He's the guy to beat for MVP. Do you think Mahomes will win MVP or Josh? I'd put my money on Josh Allen.
I think Josh Allen's going to win the MVP this year. He's got a hell of a case, too. And the guys he's beaten is really going to help him out with that. Defense does not put points on the board, period. I mean, they can, but, we don't have that luck to get pick sixes over here. It's been a while since we had that, Marcus Peters, can you deliver us another pick six, please? See, I'm going to say Josh Allen. We really hoping Deshaun Jackson to be what Steve Smith was for us in 2014 through 2016. Don't see that happening. What's going on, Jalen? How you doing, bro? Does Patrick Mahomes have the best quarterback build in NFL history? That's a good question. I'm not fully sure. His footwork in the pocket isn't as great as you want. When you see Mahomes in the pocket, sometimes there's some work that still has to be done there. I don't think his footwork's the best in the pocket, but past that, guy's got the arm talent, he's got the intangibles, he's got the ability to just throw on the run, he's got wheels as well. You can make the argument, but I don't know. Because you could say he's a little bit more athletic than Aaron Rodgers, because he's very similar to Aaron Rodgers, but he's just a little bit more athletic. That's a difficult question for me to answer right now. I wouldn't know. I think he would be definitely the quarterback you would put in the conversation for that. This Ravens defense is going to be unstoppable. Well, we'll see how that works out. You can have an unstoppable defense in this era of football and still lose football games because your defense ends up giving a last-second touchdown, because this era emphasizes offense more than defense. So even if you think you're playing perfect defense, a flag's going to come out of nowhere because they care about the receivers and the quarterbacks. It's funny because you can go back to posts from 2013 and 2015, and the Bills and Niner fans complaining about Greg Roman. Yeah, the same things they were saying about Greg Roman in 2013 and 2015 when he was with the Niners and Bills. They're the same complaints we have from him now. He has not changed in a decade. What about Tua? Tua's going to have to get back into the conversation. I think Tua was having a great early start into the conversation, but then he got hurt. And, he suffered that concussion. And, well, when I get into that, all we know is he got knocked out of the next couple of games. So, while he got knocked out of the next couple of games, Josh Allen was doing a hell of a job in really improving his MVP campaign and his MVP position. Patrick Mahomes continued to improve on that. And Jalen Hurts continued to improve on that. So, yeah, there were other guys that were still eating and thriving while Tua was out. So, Tua's going to have to do some catching up to do. But, he can still be in it. No number one wants to come here to block 80% of the game. 60%. Remember that. It's not 80, 60. So you still have a chance. And then that 20, 25% is probably going to the tight ends and running backs. No, 25 is probably going to the tight ends. Maybe a good 10% is going to the backs. But hey, you still got that small percentage that may go to the receivers. You watching the new Bleach arc? Yeah, it's been great so far. I still got to catch up on the couple episodes. I think I missed the last 2 episodes, but it's been great so far. Tua's not on Allen's or Mahomes' level. Yeah, Allen and Mahomes have been doing it consistently. This is the first time Tua's been playing on this high level, so yeah. Imagine Lamar with Tua's wide receiver core. That's just breaking the league. That's just breaking the league. That's why a lot of people say if you went to Miami, it's over. Bottom line, why make Lamar work this hard? Because they can. Because they can utilize his talents. And Lamar is a team player, and he's not going to complain about that. So you can take advantage of that, and that's what the Ravens are doing. He's fine with it, I guess. So they don't seem to want to make his job easier. They just believe he's gonna do it. So it is what it is. Last time the Ravens had a 100-yard receiver this year was Rashad Bateman in week 2. Yep, that was the last time we had a 100-yard receiver. I wouldn't change a thing with Tua's wide. You wouldn't have to. He's got the perfect receiving core. Probably the best. You can make an argument he's got the best receiving core in the league. You got to choose between him, Kyler, maybe, and Jalen Hurts. But there's guys there that you can choose from. Shout out to Sir X Gemini with the donation. Appreciate the love and support, man. Our defense needs the same mean streak and aggression the 2000 Ravens defense had. I appreciate that sentiment, but bro, this ain't 2000. The way the 2000 Ravens defense played, they can't play like that in football today. They cannot. That team would be illegal in this era. The way they were hitting the quarterback back in 2000, can't have that happen right now. What's going on, Jalen? The way they were hitting quarterbacks back then, you can't hit them like that now. The way they were defending receivers, can't defend them like that right now. So I would love for them to have that mean streak and aggression, but it ain't 2000 anymore. As long as they can be consistent.
If they can be consistent, if they can consistently find a way to get to the quarterback and make stops and don't give up the big plays down the field and actually tackle, they're gonna be fine. But I would love for them to have the mindset of the 2000 Ravens, but don't that mean streak of aggression. You can't play football like that anymore. I miss those days, man, but you can't play football like that anymore. So it's unfortunate, but you can't play football like that anymore. Though having the mentality like that would be awesome. Tom Brady's the best quarterback of all time, and I can't stand him. He's not the best quarterback of all time. He's the greatest quarterback of all time. There's a difference because he's not. Best deals with talent. If you're the best at the position, it deals with your talent and skills. He's not the most talented quarterback of all time. He's not the most skilled quarterback of all time. But he's the greatest quarterback of all time because he's the winningest quarterback of all time, and he's been the most clutch in the key situations. There's a difference between best and great. He's the greatest quarterback of all time. That's why they call him the GOAT. But he's not the best because he's not the most talented. Which actually helps to his case for being the GOAT because he was able to win so much without having the talents of a guy like an Aaron Rodgers or of a guy of a Patrick Mahomes or of a guy of like Michael Vick's ability to take off. He didn't have those skills or those talents, but he still won. That's what makes him the greatest of all time. That's why he's seen as the greatest but not the best. Mac Jones needs weapons. Mac Jones needs a lot. Niners went to the Super Bowl with a great defense and a terrible quarterback. Yeah, but they had an amazing run game. Not to mention their quarterback made no mistakes. Also, they played the Packers, which Packers have never been good at making stops at all. But in the AFC, when you have Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, that's not really going to work out for you. I know Ravens fans don't like it, but if we get rid of G-Row and switch to a pass-heavy offense and we lose, we will be begging for G-Row to come back. No one's begging Greg Roman to come back. We could lose and people will be like, well, just time to figure out the adjustments. You already knew if you got rid of Greg Roman, you're going to have to change the entire scheme. People will be patient. I'm telling you, even if they're not patient, no one's going to be sitting back and saying, I miss Greg Roman, unless you were Team Greg Roman. If you were Team Greg Roman, you'll be saying, I miss Greg Roman. If you want Greg Roman fired so bad, I don't care how bad the offense looks moving forward, you're not going to sit back and say, I want Greg Roman back. It's not going to happen. So no, if you want him fired, you're not going to miss him. Even if we lose a game. We could lose 5 straight games. You're not going to miss him. Shout out to Gemini again. Peyton Manning is the smartest quarterback of all time. I agree. Peyton Manning is the smartest quarterback of all time. In terms of preparation, in terms of in-game adjustments, in terms of both in-game adjustments and audibles at the line of scrimmage, being able to recognize blitzes on the defense, in terms of just the study and the understanding of the game, nobody was better than Peyton Manning. The only person that you believe can match up to that was Tom Brady. But in terms of preparation, no one was better than Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning is the smartest quarterback of all time. For me, he's my personal GOAT because I've never seen somebody have that amount of control offensively. It's like he knew every single position, exactly what they're supposed to do at what moment. He understood what everybody on the offense had to do. He understood what everybody on the defense had to do. He just understood everything about the game. He could recognize a blitz like that. He could recognize exactly what they're seeing right there. And it's truly something special, which is why I appreciate Peyton Manning and I love him to death. He's my personal GOAT because I feel like everyone should have their own personal GOAT. He's my personal GOAT, and I appreciate what Peyton Manning brought to the table because he was just that different from me. He was special. He was truly special. Lamar wants his money. Yes, he does. Oh, I like our rookie center. Tyler's been fantastic for us. He's been great. I love him. I love what Tyler Linderbaum's been doing, bro. He's been killing it. Man. I love what he's bringing to the table. It's like they don't want him to have a fair chance. I honestly, they're just fine with whatever's there. They just believe they can ride. They've never had a quarterback of this talent before, so they're fine with just riding the coattails of Lamar and just saying, hey, take us to the promised land however you want. You know, their mindset's still stuck in the 2000s. They believe they could, like 2000s and early 2010s, they still think football's like that. That's their mindset, and they're not changing it. That's why they continue to zig while everyone's zagging. The day the Ravens aren't running a 3 tight end set from the first to fourth quarter tells me they actually want to change. I don't see that happening anytime soon. Is Jalen Armour-Davis in the doghouse? He might be. I haven't seen. I don't know. I don't think. Did we see much of him on Thursday? I know we saw Brandon Stevens. I'm pretty sure we saw Pepe as well, but I don't know if we saw Armour-Davis.
You think Lamar not getting paid is affecting his play? Some people
have been making assessments and alluding to that. I don't think that's the case. I don't think him not getting paid is affecting his play, because if you're not getting paid, you want to prove them right so you would actually play well. I don't think that's really the case. There's just been moments where I think Lamar is, it's not even just Lamar. It seems like the team themselves have been doing too much. They've been pressing. They've admitted it. They would get this lead and they would press too much because they're overthinking it. I got to do this and I got to be perfect here and I got to be perfect there. So Lamar has been pressing, the offense has been pressing, and the defense has been pressing. The team as a whole has just been pressing. When they've gotten the lead, they just keep pressing. They keep pressing because they're so afraid of losing that lead. So I don't think it's a situation where Lamar is just being affected by the contract. I think it's just a situation where the team right now is just they're in their own head, they're pressing too much, and they need to just calm down. Shout out to Gemini again. Whatever happened to Darius Washington? I don't even think he's on the team anymore. Actually, wait, no, I'm pretty sure he's on the what's it called, practice squad. He's either no longer on. I'm pretty sure they sent him to the practice squad, right? I believe he's on the practice squad. So, yeah, I think he is on the practice squad. So I think that's where he's at. I'd put him on the practice squad. Or I think he's on the practice squad. I think that's where he's at. But I'm not fully sure. I feel like there is only 2 fan bases in the league that like their offensive coordinator. And there's probably more. I don't know. There's always going to be complaints from fans, so it is what it is. But, especially when we see things that aren't going well, we're going to speak up. Good show. I'm going to subscribe. Appreciate the content. Got to go. It's dinner time. Appreciate the love and support, man. Head on out. Thanks for the conversation here. I don't know. I'll probably do this for about 20 more minutes maybe and then probably wrap this up. Didn't think this was going to be an hour-plus live stream, but hey, there was nothing going on a Tuesday, so I felt might as well talk about the Ravens. I might do this again tomorrow too, so be on the lookout. Let's see. Ed Reed was smarter than Peyton Manning. Yeah, Ed Reed was smarter than a lot of quarterbacks. I mean, I wouldn't say Ed Reed was smarter than Peyton Manning. If you want to say they're on the same level of intelligence, you can, but nobody, in terms of preparation and understanding of every position on the field. Peyton Manning, it was just times where Peyton Manning didn't even need the offensive coordinator to call plays because he just knew what was happening there. So, no, I wouldn't say Ed Reed was smarter than Peyton Manning. At best, Ed Reed was on the same level of intelligence in terms of understanding what was happening on the field as Peyton Manning. But, nah, I couldn't say he was smarter than him. Yeah, he was smarter than a lot of quarterbacks, but I wouldn't put Peyton in that. I mean, that's just me. Biggest disappointment this season? In terms of as a whole or what? You mean biggest disappointment this season? If we're talking about as a whole, the biggest disappointment is the Denver Broncos. Some people will say the Raiders, though, because the Raiders are being pathetic. But the Denver Broncos will be the biggest disappointment this season if we're just talking about the entire NFL season in general. So I'd probably say, yeah, the Broncos are probably the biggest disappointment. I'm still waiting on Deshaun Jackson to get out there and show that speed. He might actually pull up on Monday night because from what we heard from Harbaugh yesterday, seems like his progress is going well, and there's a great chance he's probably going to play on Monday night. So, hey, Monday Night Football against the Saints. We'll see if Deshaun Jackson still got that speed. He'll probably be out there. But, yeah, I haven't seen Armour Davis in a minute either, so I don't know what's going on with him. So, Jalen hasn't played the last 2 games. It was healthy scratch. Oh, yeah, so I don't know. They're doing something. I ain't sure. We've had a 10-point lead every week. That's a tendency. We about to be the best team in the second half of the season. Well, considering the fact that we had the 3rd hardest schedule through the first 8 games of the season, and during these last 9 final games, we have the 3rd easiest schedule. I would assume we should be able to dominate these guys because there's not a single team right now we're facing moving forward that has a record over 500. So Baltimore should be able to win these games. If we can't get to the AFC Championship game this year, do you think there will be questions about giving Lamar a huge contract? Maybe, maybe not. It just depends on how they look. First of all, it depends on whether or not they get to the playoffs. Then once they get to the playoffs, it depends on how they look. Because if they fail to get to the AFC Championship game, how do they look? Like, if they fail to get to the AFC Championship game, how do they look? That's a good question. I think that will factor in. Lamar's play in the postseason individually could factor into that, but I have no clue. And I couldn't give you an answer on that. If there's a chance for Lamar to lead the Ravens, who would they pick up, or who would they want to go to? I honestly couldn't. I really wouldn't have a question for that. I don't know. A lot of people suspect that he's going to Miami, and if that's the case, they might as well just trade quarterback for quarterback. If that's the case, if he really was to leave and wanted to go to Miami, and Baltimore has no choice but to make the trade, then at this point you're gonna have to go to Miami and say, listen, if that's gonna happen, give us Tua, because we gotta have some young quarterback. But I don't think that's gonna happen, so I don't see any of that happening. So yeah, I really couldn't give you an answer for that. John Jackson got clocked over 20 miles an hour. He gonna be moving out there. Hey, can he take the hits though? That still matters. Can he take the hits though? Ravens gonna make a playoff run. This defense is getting healthy. Plus Roquan Smith. Hey, we can only hope they're gonna make a playoff run, but I don't know. Like I said, right now I wouldn't say the Ravens are a Super Bowl contending team, but they have plenty of time to get to where they need to be. Get healthy, get your players back, and start being consistent and win these games and win the division and get to the playoffs. We'll assess you at the end of the season. They don't need to be a Super Bowl contending team right now, week 8, but by the end of the season, one would hope that they look like a Super Bowl contending team. But I don't know. I really couldn't sit back and say that we're gonna make a playoff run based on what we've seen so far. They've been inconsistent. In fact, the win against the Bucks. The win against the Bucks was the first time they actually had that was their first winning streak of the season. That was the first time they won 2 games in a row. Week 1 they won, week 2 they lost, week 3 they won, week 4 they lost, week 5 they won, week 6 they lost, week 7 they won, week 8 they won, and that's why they're 5-3. So they're gonna have to show more consistency, and they're gonna have to get healthy, get your players back because you got a bunch of players coming back. Get your players back, get healthy, and show some consistency down the stretch, and we'll be able to assess what the Ravens are by the end of the season. Right now, I wouldn't put them as a Super Bowl contending team, but that doesn't mean they can't turn into a Super Bowl contending team. They have plenty of time to turn into that. We're going to get that number 1 seed. Buffalo and KC going to falter due to strength. No. I appreciate the confidence in the rate. No. Baltimore and KC not Baltimore. Buffalo and KC not about to falter. Let me look at Buffalo's schedule. Buffalo's not about to fumble this, man. So I appreciate you saying that. You're showing the love for the Ravens, but that's just not happening. That's just not happening, bro. That's just not happening. That's just not happening, bro. I'm sorry. Like you're just hoping for that to happen, but just assuming that you need those 2 to crumble, that's not gonna happen, bro. That's not gonna happen. That's you being a fan at that point. With the way the Bills have looked, there has been no indication that they're just gonna straight up. You think they're gonna go without a loss with the rest? I'm not saying they're not gonna go with a loss without the rest of the season. They're gonna lose some games, but I had the Buffalo Bills winning getting the number 1 seed. Not to mention they have the tiebreak over us. So you think they're going to lose more games than us? You think right now they're going to lose more games than us? Stop this, bro. Okay, they got the Jets, the Vikings, the Browns, the Lions, the Patriots, the Jets, the Dolphins, the Bears, the Bengals, and the Bro, literally moving forward, let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have 5 divisional games. They're 6-1. They're 6-1. What are they? They're 6-1. So 5 of their last 9 games are divisional games. I believe way too much in Josh Allen. It's not just Josh Allen. It's the Buffalo team as a whole. Do you not see the defense? It's not. Why are you just assuming it's about one person? You just assume we just believe in Josh Allen way too much. No. It's not about that. It's about the Buffalo Bills as a team. You sit back and boast about our defense. Buffalo has a hell of a defense too. They got all over the place. From their pass rush to their linebacking core to their secondary. They got guys. It's not just about Josh Allen himself. That team is one of the most, them and the Eagles. We're trying to put it between the Eagles and the Bills. Those are the 2 most well-assembled teams from top to bottom, talent offensively and defensively in the league. Those are the top two. So it's not just Josh Allen. Unless you're telling me this defense is going to crumble to injuries, I don't see how they're going to blow this. 5 of their last 9 games are against divisional rivals. So unless you're telling me the Jets are and the Patriots about to smoke the Bills, I don't see how they lose this. The other games they got to go up against, the other games they got to play, they got to deal with Chicago. I don't see them losing to Chicago. They got to deal with the Bengals. Maybe they lose the Bengals game. They got to deal with the Browns and then the Lions and the Vikings. Maybe they lose to the Dolphins again. I can give you that. Maybe they lose to the Dolphins again. I only see 2 teams here that I think can legitimately beat the Bills or give them challenge and potentially win. The Vikings and the Dolphins. Don't see them losing to the Patriots. Don't see them losing to the Bengals. Don't see them losing to the Bears. Don't see them losing to the Jets. Don't see them losing to the Browns. So if they lose 2 more games, that puts them at what? 14-3 on the season, which is exactly where I predicted them to be. I think Baltimore could be 12-5, maybe 13-4 based on the schedule, but you're still going to be a game or 2 behind them. So I don't see, unless you're telling me they're going to lose to teams that are under 500, I don't see that happens. With the way that team's built, I don't see how they're going to straight up do that. They have no running game. They just traded for a running back, speaking of which. They just traded for a running back. If you think Josh Allen's going to run over linebackers all year and hold up, I just don't see it. He did it last year. The funny enough about this, he did it last year. He ran over linebackers all year and did not get injured. Also, they traded for a running back. And I get it. He plays way too risky. I've called Josh Allen out for that too. And I've said people need to speak on it more. Because they always want to call it Lamar when he's running, but they never want to speak on when Josh Allen does it. That's not their offense. It's 50 throws a night. It's 50 throws a night because they can't run the ball. Which is why they just traded for a running back who's going to help improve the run game. They're not looking to throw the ball 50 times. They have to throw the ball 50 times because they're not getting anything consistently in the run game. That's why they're throwing the ball 50 times. Because the backs they got there aren't working. Which is exactly why the Bills just went out and traded for a running back to see if they can improve in that aspect. But again, it's not just Josh Allen. It's the whole team. Look at what they can do defensively. You sit back and boast about the Ravens' defense as if the Bills' defense aren't up there as well. Arguably, they're better. With the way they've played, arguably they're better. That's not balanced. I said they're throwing the ball 50 times right now because they can't throw. We know they're not a balanced offense. That's the biggest, I've spoken on it. The biggest weakness with the Bills is they can't run the football. We've spoken on it. They're trying to fix that problem. They're not a balanced offense because they're throwing it so much. Hell, it's a big part of why they lost to the Dolphins. But that's why they went out to address it during the trade deadline. That's why they went out and went to trade for a running back to solve that problem. If they ever get a balance in the run game, good luck stopping them. But again, I said, looking at the schedule that they have, I do not see how these guys are going to go out here and all of a sudden lose like 4 or 5 games. The problem ain't fixed. The issue is the run game. We just sat back and talked about the issue is the run game. Never said it's fixed. I'm saying they went out and traded for somebody that could potentially fix the issue. So we don't know if it's fixed or not. We have to see if it's fixed. We're going to find out when he plays, but we have to see if it's fixed. Baltimore has an issue with the linebacking core. We just got Roquan Smith. Are we guaranteed to all of a sudden be better in pass coverage? Does that mean our problems are automatically fixed with the defense? We're about to get back Bowser and Ojabo. Does that mean the pass rush is automatically going to become fixed and it's going to become one of the best pass rushing units in the league? No. Baltimore's got problems as well. But you, as a Ravens fan, is just assuming Baltimore is going to automatically fix their problems and Buffalo's not. That's not how that works. That is not how that works at all. Not even close. Baltimore's got their faults. They've improved on some of those aspects. You believe they can hold up and it's going to get better and it's going to work out. I believe that too. But I'm not going to sit back and say my team's going to fix their problems. But Buffalo, who went out to also try and fix their problems, they're not going to fix their problems. That's speaking as a fan. We gonna see. Y'all love these Bills like they're the 72 Dolphins. You're assuming the Bills gonna win all these games. I don't see it. Based on how the team... So you're assuming the Ravens are gonna win all the games. Why are you assuming the Ravens are gonna win all their games? Please tell me. You're assuming the Ravens are gonna automatically win the games. The Ravens have blown 3 double-digit leads in games they should have won. They've been inconsistent. They just had their first winning streak. What makes you assuming automatically they're gonna win? Strength of schedule.
Didn't I just read off the schedule? Which one of these teams? They had 2 teams over 500 that the Bills have to face. Actually, the 3. The Jets. The Jets are over 500. The Vikings are over 500. And the Dolphins are over 500. So 3 of the games they have left are against teams over 500. The rest is not. So they don't have a strong schedule either. So again, where's the assumption? All of the guys we have to face for the rest of the season are under 500. They have really 2 guys here. You said the Ravens schedule. That's what I'm referring to. Yeah, the strength of schedule for Baltimore is weak. It is. It's the 3rd worst strength of schedule. It's the 3rd worst schedule down the stretch. But looking at Buffalo's, it's not that much different. It's not that much different. And they're ahead of us. They're 6-1. We're 5-3 right now. So for you to automatically assume that we're going to somehow get past the Bills and get that number 1 seed when their strength of schedule isn't exactly that heavy either. It's not like they're going up against a lot of teams over 500. The Browns are not over 500. The Lions aren't over 500. The Patriots aren't over 500. The Bears aren't over 500. The Bengals aren't over 500. So they got a bunch of games that aren't over 500. I believe the Rams are going to do great too. But I'm not just trying to put them as a number 1 seed. They're going to far surpass everybody else. Got to be more realistic. I get it. We're fans of our teams. We want the best. But you got to be more realistic for what you have here. We're 5-3 right now. Maybe Baltimore goes on and finishes 14-3. Maybe they go on this magical streak. Maybe that happens. But we have to see. You just have to have more belief. You just have more belief in Buffalo than I do. It's not about having more belief. Look at the state. Look at how the Bills are assembled. Look at how the team is assembled. The same strengths you gave praise to the Ravens defensively are the exact same strengths the Buffalo's displayed. And they've been better defensively than we have. So just using your own assessment, you can apply that same to the Bills, and it's there. It's only 2 games, bro. You act like we lost 6 games. It's not that. Do you understand? They still have the tiebreaker. Even if we end up, let's say both teams end up winning 14 games, they still have the tiebreaker. So that means you're expecting the Bills. So let me ask you, what do you think the Bills' final record is going to be? Because you're so confident the Bills are going to collapse. And I didn't even bring up Kansas City, because you said Kansas City was going to pass us too. I didn't even get into their record. Let me ask you, what do you think the Bills' final record is going to be? Based off the final games, I want you to understand, they are playing the Jets, the Vikings, the Browns, the Lions, the Patriots, the Jets again, the Dolphins, the Bears, the Bengals, and the Patriots. What record do you see? What record do you see? I can see the Bills going at least 14-3, 13-4. I can see that too. I have them at 14-3. But I want to know, where do you see that? Do you see what record do you have them finishing on? Bro, no. KC is one game. No. I ain't talking about that. What record do you see for the Buffalo Bills? Based on the games I gave you, what record? They're 6-1 right now. With the remaining 9 games I just gave you, what do you think their record is going to be? 12-5. Who's going to beat them? Please, give me the 3. Do you think they're going to lose 4 games down the stretch? Who are the 4 teams? Who are the 4 teams? I want to know. Who are the 4 teams? Who are the 4 teams you think they're going to lose to? Who are the 4 teams? Because it just seems like you are over here praising the Ravens defense and completely ignoring what the Buffalo Bills defense has been doing, which has been better than Baltimore's. I'm not even talking about Josh Allen. I'm talking about the defense as a whole. The same thing you praise the Ravens for are the same thing. The same thing you praise the Ravens for, the same thing Buffalo has, and it's been even better. And you think they're going to lose more games, despite the fact Jets, Browns, Dolphins. You think the Jets are going to beat the Bills. And you think the Browns are going to beat the Bills and the Dolphins. I can see the Dolphins. Dolphins have a high-flying offense. That is going to really test their secondary. This team is one of the best run defense teams in the league. But you think with Jacoby Brissett, they're going to get it done. Jets ain't no joke with Zach Wilson as quarterback, who's turning the ball multiple times, going up against the Bills team that has been known to get turnovers. The Jets are a real talented team. The Jets are a very talented team. But they're not winning a lot of games with Zach Wilson. And a lot of games they've won has been in spite of Zach Wilson. Put Sauce on Diggs. You can still do that. There's still Gabriel Davis. There's still Knox. You have other weapons to utilize. So now it's no cakewalk for the Bills. You really are sitting here and slicing up the Jets like they're that tough team. The same Jets team. All right. I could see the Dolphins. I could very well see the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins can win that game. I actually think the Dolphins can sweep the Bills this year based on what they've done. I think it's very possible. But this man is sitting back and saying 12-5. He thinks they're going to go 12-5 when they've been more consistent than the Ravens. What do you think the Ravens' final schedule is going to be? Even if you sit back and say they got a much easier schedule, Baltimore hasn't been consistent enough to sit back and say, oh, they're going to get these easy. Because they have the Saints. And the Saints ain't no joke either. And it's going to be on the road. So I'm just saying, it's going to be on the road too. That's not an easy game. What do you think the Ravens record's going to be? 14-3. All right, bro. I don't know if this ain't even assessing anymore, bro. This ain't even assessing anymore. This right here is crazy. So the Ravens are going to go 14-3, but the Bills are going to go 12-5. All right, bro. You ain't. I legitimately. I'm shell shocked. I am legitimately shell shocked. So you think the Ravens are not going to lose a game for the rest of the season? This is wild. So you think they're not going to lose a game to Cincinnati? They're going to sweep Cincinnati, sweep Pittsburgh, sweep Cleveland. So the Browns are going to beat the Bills, but the Ravens are going to still. Okay, all right. That makes sense. I'm lost for words. I'm legit lost for words. Here. The Browns are going to be able to beat the Bills. So the Browns can beat the Bills, but they can't beat the Ravens. I'm legit shocked. I'm legitimately shocked. Let me see if I can take a look at the rest of the schedule for the Ravens here. Wait, the Patriots destroyed the Browns. They did. So let's see. They have the Saints on the road. Apparently, he's saying the Saints ain't worth the damn. Panthers ain't worried about that. Jaguars ain't worried about that. Broncos ain't worried about that. Yeah, the Ravens have a weak schedule, but you're just assuming they're going to sweep everybody in the AFC. Ravens going 13-4 or 12-5 at worst. That's why I had this. 12-5 or 13-4. 12 or 5 or 13-4. This man legitimately sat back here and said the Bills are going to go 12-5 and the Ravens are going to go 14-3. Bro, that's insane. I'll tell you this, man. That is insane. Nobody would take that bet with you right now. Let me say this right now. If that happens, I'm going to invite you on the show. If that happens, if the Bills go 12-5 and the Ravens go 14-3 and get the number 1 seed in the AFC, I'm inviting you on the show. Straight up. I'm inviting you on the show. Because I'm inviting you on the show. That's the craziest thing I've heard. I'm inviting you on the show. It's possible. It's possible for the Ravens to go 14-3 with their schedule. I'm saying the Bills. This man said the Bills gonna go 12-5. They started 6-1. This the same Bills team that took care of Kansas City and us. All right, bro. If he's right, I gotta invite him on the show, because at that point I'm gonna take a step back. Last time, my man Simply. What's going on, Simply? Appreciate you stopping by. Are you hearing this? We got someone in the chat saying the Bills are going to go 12-5 and the Ravens are going to go 14-3. If that happens, he's coming on the show. Last time we beat the Steelers were pre-pandemic. I had a splitting too. I had us finishing the season around 12-5. But homeboy sat back and said, nah, we not losing to the Bengals the second time around. We are going to sweep the Steelers, and we ain't losing to the Browns. We're not losing a single game. We are going 14-3. Hopefully that holds up, because, you understand if at any point the Ravens get a loss, it's over. So, at any point, if the Ravens get a loss, it's over. And at the same time, yeah, 12-5 sounds right for us, but we got someone saying he gonna go forward. We got someone saying the Ravens going 14-3. Yeah, Lamar did go 14-2 in his MVP season. Jags could be a trap game. Could be. Nah, if at some point the Ravens lose a football game, my invite is officially closed. And not even that, it has to be both. I need the Ravens to go 14-3 and get the number 1 seed, and the Bills need to be 12-5. So that combination needs to happen. Let's see if you pull that off right now. Is football teams match up differently? Absolutely. So you never know. It's any given Sunday. Jets going to score like 10 points on the Bills defense. Zach Wilson is a bottom 3 quarterback in the NFL. We got someone that says the Jets are going to upset the Bills, so I got to see that. And the funny thing about it is, he said they're going to lose a game to the... Actually, I forgot about that. They're 6-1, so they're 12-5. You named 3 teams. So are you... who's the 4th team then? Who's the 4th team? Because I forgot. They're 6-1 right now. You said 12-5. You named 3 teams. You said the Dolphins, the Jets, and... who else was it? The Dolphins, Jets, and... Yeah, Dolphins, Browns, and Jets. Who's the 4th team? Because that will put them at 13-4. They got to be 12-5. So who's the 4th team? Who's going to be that 4th loss? Oh, you think the Jets... Okay, all right, bro. You think the Jets are going to sweep them? Say it. You think the Jets are going to sweep them? You legitimately think the Jets are going to sweep the Bills this year? Say it. No, say it. Say it. If you really, they play them twice. You think that's going to happen? I got to stop reliving that 2019. Who's reliving? Oh, okay. You got it. You said it. All right. If the Jets sweep the Bills, you get to come on the show. Like, scratch that. Forget about... I'm not even joking. Let's forget about the 14-3 and 12-5. If the New York Jets sweep the Buffalo Bills, you get to come on the show. I'm taking that. You are doubling down and saying the Jets are going to sweep them. If the Jets sweep the Bills, you get to come on the show. We're going to have a whole episode with you, and we're going to let you talk about how you're such a group. I'm going to let you on the show if the Jets sweep the Bills this year. You think the Jets are going into Buffalo and doing that. All right, bro. All right, bro. Let's see. Nah, that's cool. Forget about the 14-3, 13-4. If the New York Jets sweep the Buffalo Bills, if they find a way to go into Buffalo and beat Josh Allen and the Bills, if they sweep them, you get to come on the show. Simple as that. Straight up. Who's talking about 2019? Who's still out here talking about 2019? Why do y'all keep bringing up 2019? Josh Allen's never lost to the Jets? Well, I guess this is going to be the first year. Someone thinks that's going to be the first season. Someone thinks a sweep is on the way. The Jets with Zach Wilson is going to sweep Josh Allen and the Bills. Even though Josh Allen's never lost. All right. Say no to drugs. I agree, Ravens. I got to see it. With a season like this, I got to see it. That's like saying Earl Thomas coming back. You're wrong for that, but that's hilarious. I got to see it happen. I want to see it with my own eyes. One of the games, I need to see, bro. Please let one of those games be a primetime game. I don't care if it's good or bad. I need to be here to see that live. Let me see. They will never put a Bills and Jets game on primetime. Now these are both 1 o'clock games. And they play. Ooh! I didn't even know they play the Jets next week. So your first chance comes here. They play the Jets next week. They play them this week. They play them on the 6th this Sunday. Let's see if they can win. Is this in Buffalo? Oh, this is in New York. I gotta see this. The only thing to be proud about that season is Lamar breaking out second year. We lost the 9-7 Titans. Yeah, I don't know why we keep bringing up 2019. Everyone's like, we got to get back to 2019. Bro, we went 1-done in the playoffs. Why would we want to get back to that season? Just because we were great in the regular season does not mean we want to get back to playing like that, because, again, we were great in the regular season, but we had a glaring weakness that got exposed in the playoffs. If anything, you want to be better than 2019. I don't know why we keep bringing up 2019. That year did not end the way you guys are saying it. The way everyone pumps up 2019, one would think the Ravens won the championship that year, right? We didn't. We won 14-2. It was an amazing year. It was awesome blowing teams out. I loved watching Lamar throw 5 touchdowns against the Rams on prime time and then do it again to the Jets on Thursday Night Football. It was amazing watching Lamar go up against Tom Brady and the Patriots and outplay him and get that win on Sunday Night Football. It was amazing watching those games. I love watching Lamar have that amazing spin move against the Bengals. That was a great season. But it ended dramatically. We lost at home to the Tennessee Titans. So why do we keep bringing up 9-7? So you want to have another great regular season only to lose in the playoffs? No. What I want to see the Ravens do is build off of 2020. Why? Because in 2020, they won all their games in December and won on the road, got a playoff win. I want to build off that. Let's not get a playoff win this year. Let's get 2 playoff wins at least. Let's be in the AFC Championship game. That's what I want to see. So let's stop talking about 2019, guys. Let's stop talking about 2019. Because that season did not end the way we wanted it to. I know y'all want the offense to get back to that, but that was a special year offensively, especially in the regular season. But it didn't end the way we wanted it to. So let's be better than 2019. How about let's become a team that can beat you in multiple ways? How about we become more creative in the play calling? How about we become more consistent? How about we become just more wiser as a football team and be better prepared for the playoffs? We lost to Ryan Tannehill. Makes it sound worse. Hey, man, it's tough losing to Ryan Tannehill, but damn. Man. At least Brady lost to him the week before. I'm just saying, the last time you saw Brady with the Patriots, he lost to Ryan Tannehill. If Brady lost to him, I can live with it, okay? I can live with it. Do you think we'll see Jameis Winston versus the Ravens? Is he expected to come back? I'm pretty sure Andy Dalton's going to be the starter. I don't know if Jameis is expected to come back anytime soon. I believe Andy Dalton's going to be the starter on that Monday night game. Yeah, Henry did throw a touchdown on us. Are we so proud of that? He did. I remember he was at the goal line. But wasn't Earl Thomas in the area and could have made a stop? Oh, God, that was terrible. I remember he started running and then he just chucked it up like that. It was a touchdown and nobody made the stop. It was bad. It was horrible. Oh, my God. Hate to break it to you, but you aren't even making it to the playoffs. We'll see. We'll see. We didn't make it to the playoffs last year. We'll see if we make it to the playoffs this year. I mean, we know you're certainly not making it to the playoffs. So, that 2-6 football team ain't making it to the playoffs. So you guys can still go to the Super Bowl. You just have to buy tickets. So, Steelers ain't going to the playoffs, but Baltimore still has a chance. Jim and I appreciate the support, man. Steelers are so atrocious. Just sell them to a semi-pro football league. You wild for that one. But hey, they can still go to the Super Bowl. They just got to buy a ticket. Then again, I don't know if they want to sell a ticket to Steeler fans. Especially if another team just happens to be there. But yeah, Andy is starting. Yeah, okay. Andy is starting. Okay, that's cool. Baby hands. He does have small hands. Bro, Henry turned Earl Thomas into a blocker. That ain't no damn flex. That is true. Y'all repping 2019? When Derrick Henry turned Earl Thomas into a blocker? That's what y'all holding up on? Y'all going to 2019? Where they couldn't stop the run at all? That's what y'all talking about? 2019? When they gave up a touchdown pass to Derrick Henry? That's what y'all hold up about? Really? 2019? Where Mark Andrews apparently just didn't have hands and it caused the first interception of the game? That's what you're holding up to? 2019 when Lamar had 500 total yards, but we only have 12 points of offense because no one can catch that freaking football and drop 2 touchdowns? That's what y'all hold up on? I felt it when you said put Lamar in a spread offense. Bro, oh man. I've been saying it for such a long time. You put him in a spread offense, you will literally garner results. They have a better chance of winning a championship in the Pee Wee Football League. That's crazy. Steelers winning out is crazy. Well, I hope they do win out. They'll probably still miss the playoffs, but I hope they do win out for the sake of saving Mike Tomlin's consecutive record of never finishing a season with a losing record. I think Pickett is a bust. I can't say that after him. It's his rookie year. It's his rookie year, guys. We have to give him time to develop. It's his rookie year. it's his rookie year. I'm not gonna call a rookie a bust when he hasn't had the proper time. So no, I'm not gonna say Pickens. It's way too early. It's way too early. Just wait till we stop Mason Rudolph, bro. Y'all don't even want to put him out there. Y'all do not like Mason Rudolph. Don't even make those jokes. Every time I've seen someone mention Mason Rudolph, I've seen a bunch of Steelers fans say, "Please don't insult us like that." I'll say he has bust stats. I mean, you can say that definitely. Not the best rookie year that's coming out. Honestly, the quarterbacks, like if you look at the quarterbacks from last year, none of them have really looked good. The best has been probably Justin Fields. You look at Justin Fields, he's not putting up great numbers, but my God, at least he's showing progress. He's got the talent, and he looks like he could actually be something in this league. So he's looking like that. Trevor Lawrence has been up and down, not the best, but he does look like he has some potential. It's going to take time for him to develop. As for the other three, Trey Lance, have no idea what Trey Lance can be. He got injured 2 weeks into the season. Have no idea what Trey Lance could be. What was it, week 2 or week 3 when he got injured? We have no idea what Trey Lance could be, and from what we saw of him, we weren't even sure he was really going to be the guy. People were saying, yeah, send him back to the bench. He still needs more time to develop. That was what we were saying before Lance ended up getting injured. So I have no idea what to make of Trey Lance. Mac Jones is not even close to being the guy he was last year. It seems like he regressed. Maybe it's a sophomore slump, but he's regressed and he's looked awful this year. And Zach Wilson's been terrible since he's gotten back. So the 2021 quarterback draft class has looked pretty bad. Pretty bad. You remember when Lamar said on live television? It was on an interview. He was on the. He was being interviewed by Rich Eisen. He was on the Rich Eisen show, and then he said there that people were calling out our plays. Like defenders, he was under center, and defenders were calling out the plays we were running before we could run them. And he didn't have a chance. He had no choice but to run them because obviously the clock's winding down, and he had to run the play. We couldn't change it. So it is what it is. But that's kind of just the situation there. Wow, I've been here for over 2 hours. That is crazy. I was not expecting to be here for over 2 hours. Let's see. We could probably do maybe about 15 minutes, huh? Maybe about 15 minutes and then call it a day. It's been crazy. Over 2 hours on a live stream. I think I've gotten so used to like live streaming this long because I do that for the games. When you're live streaming for like 3-4 hours when you're covering a game, you can sit here and do a live stream doing commentary and just like, or having a discussion with guys. But yeah, what was I gonna allude to last part? Yeah, Ravens. That's what we were talking about. Yeah, Ravens got some work to do. Anyone that was still complaining about the receiving core, it is what it is. Andrew and Ingram were hurt in that game. That's why they didn't play well. Probably shouldn't have had them in the game. They probably should have took them out of the Browns game when they did. Also, I don't even know a lot. I still, to this day, I still have so many people bring it up when it came to Ingram being hurt. Everyone still brings it up to this day. Why didn't they just start Gus? Mark Ingram was hurt. Why didn't you just start Gus? To this day, I still have people saying that. Whenever people try to think back to that game against the Titans, everyone continues to say, yeah, everyone brings up, well, we couldn't really do much. Mark Ingram was hurt. And the first question everyone asks is, why didn't we play Gus then? Why didn't we start Gus? Why didn't Gus take a majority of the carries? If Mark Ingram was so hurt, why not just go with Gus Edwards? That always is the question that's being brought up for that game. And honestly, I cannot deny that too. That's a question I ask as well. If Mark Ingram is that hurt that he's not being effective, why not just say we're going to go with Gus Edwards through the rest of the game? And Gus Edwards probably would have eaten that game. Probably would have changed things up if you would have just went with him. But y'all kept trying to force Mark Ingram because it's like, well, he's been that guy all year. Antonio Brown is embarrassing. I don't even want to know what he did. I don't even want to know if Antonio did another thing. I don't want to know. If Antonio legitimately did another thing, I really don't want to know. Like, just honestly, I don't want to know. I really, that's his life. Whatever Antonio Brown wants to do is whatever he wants to do, man. What is this? But yeah, I just don't. I really just don't. I don't want to get any. If Antonio Brown's doing something else, I really don't want to get involved. I don't want to speak on it. I don't want to talk about it. There was a good question here that I have to see. That was about the Nets. that I actually wanted to talk about because the Nets did fire their coach. They fired Steve Nash. And someone brought that up. This has got to be ways back. Let me see. There's gotta be some. There was something about the Nets that I'm looking for. It was something about the Nets. Like I think someone was talking about like, did you hear about the Nets situation? All right, I think I kind of got the gist. It was something about the Nets. I don't fully remember, but it was definitely. I think it was about the coaching situation because the Nets did recently. They fired Steve Nash today, and apparently they're going after Ime Udoka immediately. So that right there is crazy. They were prepared, man. The minute they're like, "Oh, Ime's good chance we might be able to get him." Doesn't look like the Celtics are gonna hold on to him. And if that's the case, hey, we might as well get him. Steve Nash, you're dismissed. They said it was mutual, but I kind of doubt that. I really doubt that. Like, how do you mutually decide? Okay, you're no longer working here. What did they say? You're fired. And he's like, yep, I agree. I'm fired. Like, how do you mutually part ways like that? I don't know how that works. Like, are you telling me he came in that morning? Like, the only way that works is if he came in that morning assuming that he came in that morning with the thought that I'm going to quit this job today. And they just happen to think at the same time, well, while he's thinking I'm quitting this job today, the Nets are like, I'm going to fire him today. Like, where did that come from? Where did that actually come from? As long as Matt Canada is the offensive coordinator, Steelers will have a losing season, most likely. Most likely. Where did that come from, though? Like, they really said the Nets mutually parted ways. Which, I mean, I don't know how you mutually part ways with a coach. Like, you understand mutual is like an agreement, right? So you're telling me he came in that morning saying, I'm going to quit this job. I'm quitting the coaching job for the Nets. And the Nets were like at the same time thinking, I'm firing Steve Nash today. And he walked in the office saying, I got something to tell you. Yeah, I got something to tell you too. Yeah, I quit this job. Don't worry, we're going to fire you anyway. We want you gone. All right, cool. We in order. Like, how do you mutually do that? We mutually decide to part ways. I hate when they say that. Because you know damn well Steve Nash walked into that facility with his freaking playbook or whatever. Just think, all right, what am I going to do today? You know, Ben Simmons, he's got to get motivated. I got to see if I can find some new way to motivate Ben Simmons to shoot. KD and Kyrie are already doing well, but we got to figure out how we're going to do this defensively. And as that's happening, somebody just taps on Steve Nash's shoulder and say, Steve, can you follow me real quick? The GM wants to speak with you. Sure, no problem. Hey, yo, Steve, as you can see, right now we're not playing well defensively. Ben Simmons is still not shooting the basketball, and we're losing basketball games. Yeah, I understand. I got my ideas right here, right now. I'm trying to get the thing done, and hopefully I can fix our defense. I mean, I've never been much of a defensive player myself, but I think I can coach these guys to be a defensive unit. Well, that's the thing. See, we know somebody that could actually help us out defensively. His name is Ime Udoka, and we think we might be able to get him. Oh, as an assistant coach? No, we kind of need him to have a head coach job. So, Steve, we're going to have to let you go here today. Like, what do you think was happening? I feel like that conversation had to happen in the office for the Nets. Because there's no way you're telling me there was a mutual, they decided to mutually part ways. No, he didn't decide to mutually part ways. You fired him. Don't give me that nonsense. He didn't walk into the facility that morning saying, I'm going to quit this job. Y'all fired him. Steve Nash got fired. That's all I got to say about that. But yeah, Nets are a mess. Nets are a mess. They got to figure out themselves. And yeah, it is what it is. Oh, man. It's been quite the conversation here. Nash got paid. He's good. Yeah, he's good. He ain't worried about nothing. Remember, that's how we fired Wink. Yeah, we fired Wink. Wink came into the facility that morning, thinking to himself, man, all right, it's the off season now. We got to come up with some sort of new system because, I don't think we need to change anything. I think we're actually pretty good here. You know, last year was really tough on us. We lost a lot of guys. Our main focus should be rehabilitation, get these guys back, and then, I may add an extra play here or two and we'll see what's happening. Hey, yo, Wink. Eric DeCosta would like to talk to you for a second. Oh, no problem. Okay, let me put my playbook down here. I'm ready to go. All right, EDC, how you doing this morning? That's great, Wink. That's great. We're doing well. Wink, things tend to happen over time. Sometimes, things change, and we have to be able to embrace change, and things, things seem to be happening, and last year didn't go the way we wanted to, and it feels like we have to make a change somewhere. I'm all for change, DC. I'm all for change. I got some changes right now. I got some real good ideas for changes in my defensive playbook here. I'm going to blitz 5% less this year than I did last year. Nah. Wink. Listen. I'm afraid to say we have to let you go. I'm sorry? Yeah, we have to let you go because we've decided to make this change. We still love you, Wink, but we've decided to part ways. Best of luck with you. Like seriously, what do you think was happening in the office when they brought Wink in? Telling me it was a mutual parting. Wink didn't walk in he did not walk into the facility saying, I'm quitting this job today. Man, I already know they're trying to make me a scapegoat. I'm finna leave before they make me a scapegoat. Where's DeCosta? Where is he right now? I don't want to talk to John. I want to talk to DeCosta right now. I want to talk to DeCosta right now. Like he just walks into the office saying, Eric, man, here's my folder. I quit. And DeCosta's like, well, I'm glad you're here to quit because we're going to fire you anyway. Like, come on, bro. Why do we always hear these reports that, these two teams have a mutual parting between the coach and organization? That's not true. You fired him. Just say you fired him. Hell, if you want to say you released him, fine, but you fired him. Don't give me this mutual parting because the coach didn't walk in thinking he was going to get fired. Nor did he walk in with the mindset that he was going to quit. Y'all always come up with this mutual firing. That's not the case. I don't know why I went on that tangent. I just saw that Nets comment about the coaches having a mutual parting or something, and I'm just like, it's stupid. It's very stupid. Anyway, I don't know why I had that whole skit here live. That wasn't supposed to happen. That was not planned. That was not planned at all. I just did that whole skit for no reason. That was not planned. But anyway, let's get to the final countdown of this. So, Ravens, to end it off here, Ravens flock. The Ravens did not trade for a wide receiver. It is unfortunate, but you guys need to understand that the Ravens do not prioritize the receiving position. Yes, they do draft receivers. However, historically, they've never been great drafting receivers, and usually the guys that do work out don't last here that long. It is what it is. The receiving core is not, and I want to repeat this, is not the emphasis of the Ravens. So to think that they were going to go out and trade for a receiver, especially if they had to give up a first-round pick, it wasn't going to happen. So it is what it is, guys. They still had a great deal or great move in picking up Roquan Smith. He's gonna help the linebacking core so much, which is gonna help improve the run defense and tremendously improve our pass coverage. So it is what it is. You got a great player to help improve the defense. You fixed up that linebacking core. It is what it is. They weren't gonna get a receiver. Deshaun Jackson's the best you're going to get. So, Ravens flock, deal with what you have to deal with. Can they be a contending team? Well, time will tell. But they got plenty of football left to be played. And me personally, I'm not going to speak on it here. Gemini's still going at it. Shout out to him. Steelers moving to the Canadian Football League. He's still on the Steelers' neck right now. That's hilarious. But for me personally, I understand it's unfortunate. I understand a lot of people are disappointed that the Ravens chose not to go out and get a receiver. I appreciate you a lot. Appreciate you too, Steve. Appreciate you too. Appreciate all you guys watching and showing me love and support. What was I saying? Yeah, I understand a lot of the Ravens flock is definitely disappointed that we chose not to get a receiver, but they don't prioritize that. And yeah, the guys we have right now, will they work out? I don't know. Rashad Bateman right now is going to be out for the next several weeks. Deshaun Jackson is the best you're going to get. He's most likely going to play on Monday night. You have DeMarcus Robinson. You still have Devin Duvernay. You have James Prochet if you want to use him. Tylan Wallace is still on the football team if you want to do something with him. This is the receiving core you have. They're not going to sign Odell. Get it out of your mind. They're not signing Odell. It is what it is. Odell will not be a Raven. Understand that. Odell is not going to be a Raven. The sooner you guys accept this, the better. It's not going to change. Odell is not going to be a Raven. They're not picking him up. I would be shell-shocked. You would see me calling that video completely shocked if they picked up OBJ. It's not going to happen, though. So it is what it is. Ravens didn't pick up a receiver. That's not their MO. They're not looking to do that. They're perfectly fine with whatever they have. Will that be enough to get them to a Super Bowl? It is what it is. OBJ is going to Buffalo. We don't know where OBJ is going. Maybe he goes back to the Rams. Don't know. Maybe he goes to the Chiefs. Maybe he goes to the Bills. I have no clue where Odell's going. Hell, maybe he might go back to the Giants because they could certainly use a weapon, and they're trying to contend this year. I don't know. But right now, we have no clue where Odell could even go. But one thing's for sure, I do not believe he's coming to Baltimore. Nor do I think the Ravens are going to be able to sign him. I don't think it's going to happen. Especially because Odell's looking for a long-term deal, and Baltimore is not going to give him that. He's a Steeler. You're going to pay him? You're going to give him a long-term deal? If you want to make him a Steeler, sure, by all means, do it. Are you going to pay him a long-term deal? With all the injuries and at this stage of his career, are you going to give him a long-term deal? Because he's not going to Pittsburgh if you're not giving him a long-term deal. Lamar is definitely leaving, that's for sure. I don't know. Well, see, everyone's saying he's leaving. What do you mean? He's leaving at the offseason because the team can franchise tag him for 2 years. He's technically not going anywhere for 2 years. So he can't leave. Unless you're saying he's going to leave after that. But nah. Nets going to lose to the Bulls. Are they playing the Bulls tonight? Is it a back-to-back for them? Let me check this for a second here. Are they playing the Bulls tonight? Well, I'll be damned. It's a back-to-back for them. Wow. They're playing the Bulls right now. And the Bulls are up 89-88. They just fired Steve Nash, so I don't know what that was happening there. Katie's got 30. What? Kyrie Irving has played 26 minutes of basketball. He has 2 points. What? Ben Simmons doesn't play again because why not? How the hell does Kyrie play 26 minutes and has 2 points? And Tyler Hero's not going to return because I know the Heat are playing the Warriors right now. And we're down by 3. And there's 8 minutes left. And Tyler Hero's not coming back. Oh, that's glorious. 19 for Wiggins, 18 for Curry, 17 for Clay. Fantastic. 18 for Butler, 15 for Bam, 11 for... Wow, Strus has got 24. 11 for Lowry. Hero had 2 points. He played 10 minutes today. Strus has 24 points. That's crazy. Anyway, I'm on the wrong thing. But yeah, to wrap this up here, I still have faith in Bateman being the guy or at least being a consistent target. But we got to get him the ball. This is why I want T. Martin because I know he would scheme plays for Bate. Well, we'll see what happens. One thing I wanted to allude to, which I'm going to hold off on that. Kyrie has 4 now. Bro, I cannot believe this man played 26 minutes of basketball and had 2 points. Kyrie Irving playing 26 minutes and has 2 points? Now he's got 4? That doesn't make sense. KD had 30. I'm like, okay, KD got 30. And I'm thinking the next person who had 20 points. Who had 20 points? Because I'm looking at the box score. I'm seeing somebody have 20 points, and I'm automatically assuming that's Kyrie, right? Nah. The second leading scorer for the Nets is Royce O'Neal. Royce O'Neal has 20 points. And then Claxton has 10 and Kyrie's got 4. I swear to you not. When I looked at this, I saw KD 30 and I thought it said Kyrie 20. That made sense to me. Kyrie with 4 is wild. But yeah, Bateman, I have faith in him being productive on this offense, but he's going to need the football. And yeah, maybe getting rid of Greg Roman can help out with that. But, it is what it is. Oh, crap, I am going over the time. Anyway, to end it off, Ravens not getting a receiver. It's not their MO. They don't really emphasize the receiving core. It is what it is. Ravens have talent, and they could compete, but are they going to be able to get to the Super Bowl? I don't know. I'm going to speak on this. I want to wait until after Monday Night Football. Legitimately, Levine's on fire. He's killing it. I like what he's doing tonight. I'm going to wait until after Monday Night Football to speak on this, but the Ravens have the bye week to sit back and address everything. If there's any problems with the team, any issues any player has with the coach or anything, they have the bye week to address that. And I'll speak on this after the Monday Night Football game. I'm going to save that video until then. But the bye week is a perfect time for the Ravens to assess themselves. Be it 6-3 or 5-4, whatever they are, the bye week is a great time to assess themselves. To fire Giro, bro. If G-Ro's going to get fired, it would be the bye week. If he's actually going to get fired, it would be the bye week. But I think the bye week is the best time to assess themselves, which I'm going to wait to hold off until after Monday Night Football to see where we are. If we're 6-3 or 5-4, whatever the record is, I'll wait until after Monday Night Football to discuss that. But, it is what it is. Anyway, I've been here for 2.5 hours. I was not expecting to live stream for 2.5 hours. We play one game in 23 days. We should be very healthy after the bye. Exactly. Bro, I was not expecting to be here for 2.5 hours. I opened this up thinking I'm going to be here for half an hour. I opened the stream up like 7 o'clock. It's almost 10. I was expecting to be here for half an hour, but somehow we went for 2.5 hours. It's natural, bro. When you're talking about the Ravens, it's natural. I'm used to being here for 3 hours because I commentate on Monday Night Football, on Thursday Night Football, on Sunday Night Football, and then Sunday games. So I'm so used to live streaming now that I will be here for 2+ hours. An hour goes by so quickly for me here. So, yeah, I'm going to end it here. I do appreciate you guys. You like to interact with the fans. It's okay. I do, because, I will say my piece to start off, and then we would just go back and forth with the fans until the rest of it. But, yeah, I appreciate you guys. This is a hell of a long stream. I did not expect this to be this long. I appreciate you guys showing up for this. I might be back tomorrow to talk about something else with the Ravens, so I might have another live stream. Be on the lookout for that. I'm not going to guarantee anything. Make sure about that. I'm not going to guarantee anything, but I might have another live stream. If not, you'll most likely see me on Thursday Night Football. But, oh yeah, peace out, Ravens. See, remember the Jets will sweep the Bills. Oh, we'll see. They play them on Sunday. We'll see. But, yeah, I appreciate you guys. Yeah, I'm very tired. I'm going to go rest out this. Appreciate you guys. Love you all. And, yeah, with that being said, move this mic out the way. With that being said, that is all I've got. And I'm out of here, man.